Back you go, Chipperson. Cream of the crop. Hello, my friend. Could you please identify your political alignment to me?
I'm a nationalist.
Okay, you're a nationalist.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, 1 second. Let me change the stream title. I'm all sorts of excited right now. Are you?
Yeah. All right.
Were you were you a prior fan of mine, or are you coming in for my inflammatory title?
I was just messing around with talking to this chick. I'm kind of active on some forums, and she messaged me and like sent me your link.
What forums?
It was Kick.
It was what?
Kick.
Ah.
Yeah.
Would you mind, is there some way that you could up your volume somewhat?
No. I'm on an iPad.
Oh, you're using an iPad?
Hell yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't think I have an iPad.
Gotcha. Well, you sound acceptable. Hey, stream chat. They sound all right? Yeah, all right. Here, they're saying you're quiet. I'll up the volume a little bit so that they can hear you a little bit better. Just a mo. You know I care about that production volume.
I feel that. Do you, bro?
All right. Let's fucking do it. I'm ready. Hit me the fuck up. What do we disagree on, apart from the fact that you're a nationalist?
I don't know. You tell me.
Okay.
Why am I here?
I don't. You were in the chat to come talk to me.
Yeah. I've been talking. What do we disagree with?
I don't know your values. You know mine. You've watched me stream for at least a little while.
No, just literally tonight.
Yeah, so you probably know that I'm like a far left person of some kind. You probably are familiar at least with a little bit of my values, whereas I know literally nothing about you. So it seems pointed that you be the one to describe our differences, at least somewhat.
Just calling people Nazis.
We shouldn't call people Nazis?
Nick Fuentes is not a Nazi.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, how would you define a Nazi?
How would you define a Nazi?
Sure. So I think that so Nazis, I think, best described as a fascist with Nazi characteristics. So that is to say, usually you have the central tenets of Nazism, that is to say, a traditionalist worldview which eschews egalitarianism, supports hierarchy, supports the collaboration of the state and the capitalist class to work towards a national interest, which mythologizes a racial or ancestral past in order to bolster the aims of the national demographic, which is inherently exclusionary, usually along racial lines, which supports traditional roles for women. Those are sort of like some tenets of fascism that seem to crop up every time a fascist gets in power. And then you have the Nazi characteristics, the central tenet of which seems to be a specific racial standing defense of white people, and moreover the Jewish question shit. That is to say, the belief that the Jews constitute a secret cabal, or that they're waging war against the Goyim and they made up the Holocaust and the Holocaust was justified even if it did happen, but if it didn't then it should have. Or there are many values, but they all sort of lead back to the same place. Everything that I just described fits within the worldview of Nicholas J. Fuentes.
No, that's I listen to him a little bit. Would you say that promoting culture would be along those lines, like not so much dictating it, but you know, kind of promoting a culture, kind of? Would you say that would be involved?
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with promoting certain cultural values. It would depend on the values and how you're promoting them.
And you don't think that traditionalists should be, in any sense, should be promoted?
Yeah, I think traditionalism is pretty fucking terrible, but like I think that the freedom of speech allows them the ability to express their views, at least here in America.
That's interesting. Why do you think that traditionalism is so bad?
because it's fundamentally anti-egalitarian. It's pro-hierarchy, not anti-hierarchy. I'm an anarchist. I'm anti-hierarchy. I believe that people should be able to live equal lives as free as possible, and have the greatest possible opportunity to succeed. Whether that can be achieved through social or cultural policy, or whether it can be achieved through government policy, it doesn't really matter to me. I think anarchism is the best way to do this, but there are other arguments. Traditionalists don't believe in that goal.
So are you like a fan, of women working? Do you think that's a good thing?
Insofar as people need to work to contribute to society, yeah, everyone should be able to contribute to society, yes.
Isn't being a mother contributing to society?
Being a mother is contributing to society. However, I think that they should be able to contribute to society in whatever way they see fit. There are many women who don't really...
Isn't having a nice home and a cohesive, nuclear family kind of doing that?
It can be in some respects, but that's not all of the ways you can contribute to society. I don't think that women should be relegated to that role specifically. There are women who want to do other things, many women, and I think they should be able to.
I think that should be promoted.
What should be promoted?
That type of traditional where, maybe kind of work, maybe like part-time, and besides that, do some farming, daycare, stuff like that.
What if, could we flip it maybe? Maybe the men could be the one who stay at home to take care of the children, and the women can go out and be the breadwinners?
We could do that. I'd want my wife to do it.
Okay.
I think that should be promoted. I don't know. Maybe I don't really think that women should be working so much.
Well, okay, you just said that taking care of children is already work, is it not? So what do you mean by not working so much?
I don't like. I think they should kind of stay in the home and do other work like that.
Okay, why?
More. I think it's better for the country. I think it's right now we're currently seeing as women are more free and liberated than ever. We're seeing their depression is at an all-time high.
Yeah, I would make the argument that engagement with the workforce probably does increase depression because, capitalist hellscape. However, having the freedom to be able to do what you want with your life probably has a bunch of other net benefits. For example, there are tons of examples of There are tons of examples of over-the-counter sedatives that were being marketed to housewives back in the 1950s and 60s because there was a epidemic of hysteria and crippling existential depression from these people who wanted to live lives but were relegated exclusively to a very narrow social role. I would say that the overall benefits, culturally, socially, ethically, and economically, of women being able to participate in the workforce vastly exceed whatever temporary problems we may have with how work exists today.
I'm not saying they shouldn't get involved. I'm just saying 40 hours a week. Some do more. My mom does more. My mom works hard.
Why can't we do the same with men? Why couldn't you say men shouldn't work that much? I bet if men got to stay at home more often and take care of kids, they would probably not want to kill themselves as often.
I think that women are so great that they're better at it.
Okay. I don't believe that.
You don't think that women are better with kids and all that?
No. Fuck no.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's also not scientifically demonstrated. This idea that there's that women are biologically programmed to be better child rearers, it's not factually demonstrated.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I just think that should be promoted.
Yeah, you can feel that way, but you wouldn't be arguing from a position of social utility. You'd be arguing from a position of this is what I like because I like it.
No, that's what it is.
Yeah, you like it. Yeah, I'm not denying.
No, it's. I said it's good for the country.
Well, it's in what way?
I think that I feel like just women are. I feel honestly that everyone I knew, everything like that, women are just better at taking care of a home and taking care of others.
Okay, so you feel that way.
I think that society runs better that way. I mean, we're kind of morally decaying and in other senses decaying.
So again, these are feelings. I don't think that you're making an argument right now. You're just stating a set of preferences. In what way do you think morals are decaying?
Kind of just getting to a degenerate type of culture.
How so? What does degenerate mean?
I would say, I mean, we can look up the actual definition. But I mean, it's not really going so well for us.
No, I think that culturally we're actually in a pretty good place. People are less sexist, less racist than they ever been. I'd consider that to be a moral bolstering. We're getting better morally in those respects. So that would be my argument, that in many ways we're actually moving towards a more moral culture, except for how we treat capitalism. Obviously, that's the big issue, and I talk about that on my own terms.
Right.
But like, what do you consider degenerate? Because I know the dictionary definition.
Dictionary is having lost the physical, mental, or moral qualities considered normal and desirable, showing evidence for decline.
And in what way do you believe we're morally degenerating?
I mean, we're kind of at a point of increased racial tensions. We're kind of at a point
Whoa,
of
wait, whoa. No, we're not.
tension.
No, we're not. We are nowhere near the level of racial tension that we experienced back during the 1960s and prior, back during, legalized segregation. So not only is it not higher than it was before, but I would also argue that agitation isn't a sign of moral decay. You think people fighting means that there's...
It's the calm before the storm. It's the calm before the storm.
Okay. What does this have to do with morals?
I haven't... I don't know. You tell me.
It doesn't. That's me telling you.
Morals. I'm telling you how I'm going to run a country.
Okay, but you said that this was evidence of moral decay. But what you said was not only flatly false, but it also had nothing to do with morals.
I mean, it's kind of like, we've progressed right now. We're going to decline, and it's very obviously going to happen.
Decline in what way?
It's going to go downhill. It's going to go.
What you said? Moral degeneracy. We're talking about moral degeneracy. So, in what way have morals gotten worse?
I mean, we could talk about drugs. We can talk about...
Sure, I would... No. I would argue that we have a drug problem. I would argue we have a drug problem in this country. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I don't think that's a moral thing, though. I think that's a medical issue.
Why do you think that?
That's how, like, in a medical consensus, that's how we treat it. It's a medical issue. The only people who treat it otherwise are politicians who are trying to get, like, tough on crime bucks by coming down hard on opiate users and weed smokers and what have you. It seems to me
you don't think the role of like a government would be to step in and to kind of help facilitate that in a way to benefit the people?
Oh, no, I totally agree the government should step in. They should end the drug war. That would be the first one. And the second thing they could do is work with the government of Mexico to help them with their cartel problem, either by lending them money or troops in whatever way the Mexican government would want to use them. That would be the best way to help our drug problems in this country.
Oh, I thought I was coming from the perspective of you being an anarchist.
Oh, sure. I mean, with respect to, well, if we lived in an anarchist society, then this wouldn't be an issue. Or at least it would be an issue in a different kind of way. But I live in a state right now, so I want state solutions to problems that only the state can really address. And the drug war is this problem the state created, so they can deal with that themselves.
I'm just saying that's why I'm part of a nationalist.
Okay, right, sure. But what does this have to do with moral decay? That's what you have? That there's a lot of like drug epidemic shit going on right now?
Yeah, and it's just like allowed.
What do you mean allowed? It's illegal.
It's not really being attended to. They're kind of not dealing with it.
Wait, we have record incarcerations for drug users. What do you mean it's allowed?
It's where it's still going on. It's still getting worse.
Yeah, because government incarceration isn't a good way of dealing with a medical problem. The way this spreads and the way it needs to be treated seems like more of a medical thing.
That's going on.
But what does that have to do with morals?
I don't think that doing drugs is very moral.
How? Wait. Like, let's use me. I smoke weed, okay? But I live in a legal state, so I can say that, and I don't have to worry about the YouTube police coming and bashing my head in against concrete.
Certain drugs.
Okay, why? Because you use weed, so you think that one's okay?
Some are just not going to lead to death.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me take a step back. Do you have any points or any arguments that I couldn't easily crush with like a single question? Do you have like a single coherent thought that I couldn't like easily brush aside with even the slightest bit of inquiry?
Hold on, I tuned it down. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like we disagree.
Right. Okay. No, I agree we disagree, but...
but
all right. I understand we disagree, but the problem is that my opinions are founded on like a really grounded academic understanding of a bunch of social issues and statistics and stuff, and you just seem to have like feelings. And listen, feelings are okay.
I don't fully agree with that. Nick Fuentes is a nationalist. Yeah, he cares about demographics.
Wait, but you said he's not. But you said he's not a Nazi. You don't think I laid out all the points that describe a Nazi, or at least many of them, and you agreed with every single one.
You went too far with the racial. He cares about the demographics, but I wouldn't say that's Nazism.
Okay, what characteristic do you think is emblematic to Nazism that he does not possess?
He doesn't like. It's not like it's like black people aren't citizens with him. It's not like that.
Wait, okay. So because he doesn't outright state that he wants to deport all black and brown people, that means he can't be a Nazi?
You're the one calling him a Nazi.
Yeah, because you can be a Nazi and still say like, fine, the blacks can be here for now. I wouldn't consider that to be
caring about the demographics makes a person a Nazi.
No,
in terms of like.
That's a cute. That's like what you just did right there was baby's first attempt at a redirection.
You're making a jump there.
No, I'm not. That was a baby's first attempt at misdirection because I laid out a bunch of pretty cohesive points which describe Nazism, and then you just said, "Oh, so you're a Nazi if you believe in demographics."
I'm talking about the single aspect where you're like emphasizing it's about like race.
I gave like 8 or 9 points, which you agreed with every single one of them. I don't need to just talk about his views on race. I can talk about his views on national culture or protecting Western civilization or about his traditionalist views or his views on women.
He's a nationalist. I'm pretty sure he's a nationalist and he's a reactionary. I don't see how you can make the jump that kind of caring about the makeup of a country.
He doesn't kind of care about it. It's one of his main talking points. And for one, and for two, again, what characteristic is emblematic to Nazism that he does not possess?
Can you go through those points again? I'm pretty sure I let you go on like a rant there. And
well, it wasn't. You asked me to describe what a Nazi is, and I tried to give you a really thorough academic. Sure. Okay. So we can go over them point by point. Okay. So
I just want to know, like, how, like, so just caring a little bit about race and like.
So wait. You think? Wait. Hold on. Because you're doing it again. I gave you a bunch of points, and now you're saying Nicholas Fuentes caring a little bit about race doesn't mean he's a Nazi. First of all, that is not everything I said about him, and second of all, he doesn't care about it a little bit.
In that regard, come on.
I'm sorry.
Obviously, I'm just talking about in that regard.
Okay. Like, do you think? Wait. We can settle this right. We can settle this right now, okay? Because I have no interest in debating bad faith actors. Do you think that Nicholas? Do you think Nicholas Fuentes cares only a little bit about race?
I think he acknowledges it and he understands in some regard. Obviously, he's not like fucking scientist, whatever, doctor, but I would say that in a way that a country might want to deal with it, Nick hits the nail on the head.
What does this have to do with him being a Nazi?
I don't see that as Nazism.
What? Okay. What characteristic do you think he's lacking to be a Nazi?
I'm telling you the racial aspect. I don't think it's as extreme as you are making it.
No. He has literally talked about science indicating different skull shapes, meaning that different races have different inherent abilities. He has literally talked about how a white woman fucking a black man would be degenerate in the same way a woman fucking a dog would be. I think that his views on race are pretty clear. Now, hold on. I know what you're going to say, but he isn't literally calling for the genocide of all non-white people. To which my answer is, what do you think is more likely? That Nicolas Fuentes, who is a Nazi in every other respect, stops short on this one? Or that Nicolas Fuentes, like all other fascists, lie constantly because they know there would be consequences to extremely outwardly open bigotry on YouTube, where they might be deplatformed? Which do you think is more likely?
I just that first point is just not true.
Which one?
The first one you made.
Which one?
The one you made, and then you kept going, and then you told me not to stop you.
Are you high? Can you not keep a point in your head for 30
I am
seconds?
high. Yeah. Well, you're just
wait. Wait. Your first point on moral degeneracy was drug use, and you came to a discussion on your political values high?
Yeah, of course.
You fucking degenerate. Your ancestors would be ashamed of you. You know that?
Probably not. They probably smoked.
Yeah, I don't know if they would smoke when they're going up to bat in front of an audience to try and defend their values. You could have convinced a couple of the people in my audience, turned them into some fucking Nazis like you. But instead, you came up here sounding like a fucking... Yeah, I don't know. See, because here's my thought, okay? You call yourself a nationalist, but then you say Nicolas Fuentes cares a little bit about race, which makes me wonder how much you care about it.
Do you care about it?
About race?
Yeah.
In what sense?
Would you want to live in a 80% minority?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I literally don't care about skin color at all. I really don't give a fuck.
Color. I'm not asking you skin color.
Race, skin color, I don't care. What I do care about is culture. However, we know for a fact that race and culture are not linked with one another, fantastically enough. So I don't really have a problem with race.
I feel like that's just dishonest.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I live in a town in Northern California, okay? And there are white people and black people and brown people and yellow people in my town. And all of them have pretty much the same culture. That is to say, culture, American culture, Californian culture, and culture relative to the area I live in. So despite us all being different races, we all have pretty much, not identical, we're all individuals, but culturally we share a lot in common. Whereas a white person from Alabama... This is an
anecdotal argument,
No, it's not. No, because I'm illustrating a broader point.
It's what you just fucking said.
I'm illustrating a broader point using an individual example. I know someone taught you anecdotes aren't good data. Hold on, I know you're mad. It's okay. Shh, it's all right. We're going to get to the point soon, okay?
Here it goes. Shh. Yeah, you're fucking... Low fucking T is showing.
By shushing you?
You're giving an anecdotal argument, dude. Just move on.
No. Anecdotal arguments can be valid if they demonstrate broader points. Would you like to hear the point, or are you mad beyond the point of listening?
Go.
Okay. So.
This is disingenuous.
It's not. Would you like me to finish, or are you comfortable being mad?
Go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Oh God, I'm really not mad, dude.
I share more in common, culturally, with the people who I live with in my town, regardless of their race, then I would
argument,
literally, yeah. I say, remember when I asked, "Can I finish the argument?" and you said, "Yeah, go ahead." Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
You're giving an anecdotal argument.
Dude, you're insane in the memory. You're high as a kite, friend. You can't remember this very simple thing I just said. Are you ready for me to actually finish the argument?
Giving an anecdotal argument.
I know. Shh. Okay, can you let me finish? Okay.
My God, you're fucking...
So here's my challenge to you. Here's my wait. Here's my challenge.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you because you're actively interrupting me. Okay.
Oh my God.
So wait. I don't have to mute you. We can do this civilly.
I'm trying. You're giving it. I'm not listening to your anecdotal argument.
Okay, so here's my challenge to you. Here's my challenge to you. If my argument is fallacious, if it's invalid, you should be able to point that out after I'm done with it.
It's an anecdotal argument.
No, because anecdotal arguments can serve broader points. So if my argument is invalid, you should be able to point that out after I'm done, rather than you just reeing and getting triggered right when I'm in the middle of it. You should be able to
triggered because you're giving an anecdotal argument.
So do you have any final points before we wrap this up?
I
mean, if you're too mad to actually listen to a point, I don't know how to respond to that.
Like I'm saying, if you're gonna make points, Just go ahead and make them, but you don't need to make this a anecdotal argument. Just make your points.
It was an anecdotal argument to support a broader point that I was going to substantiate. But the anecdotal argument isn't.
Fine. The
so,
cultures are the same.
Mm-hmm.
We all just
you do realize I know that this to you sounds like righteous indignation, but you sound like a fucking idiot. Like you're literally too mad to let me make a point. Yeah, this is it. You sound like a kid who just learned a word. Yeah, you realized what an anecdote means. Congrats, you've won all arguments that have anecdotes in them. Congratulations. You've done it, dude. You found the cheat code. Well done. The Prima strategy guide. All you have to do is screech, not an argument, in the middle of an argument, and you've won that argument. It's incredible. Truly, you are doing your ancestors proud. So I'm gonna give this one more try, okay? And again, if it's invalid, even if it's anecdotal, see. Here's something you could say. I make an anecdotal argument, and then you say, I do not believe those personal experiences can be extrapolated to a general population. So if my anecdotal argument is invalid, you should be able to say that at the end. So can we let me do the argument, and then we can see if that's how you respond? Okay. So the people in my neighborhood, no matter their race, have much more in common with me culturally than a white person in Alabama or Mississippi would. And the reason for this is because culture is a geographic concern. It's how you're raised. There is nothing in the brain of a person, and certainly not anything related to one's race, which dictates their cultural value. Meaning that if we bring in immigrants from the rest of the world here, and this has been substantiated in sociological data that I could pull up if it weren't for the fact that neither of us are bringing data to this, so let's be real. But this has been substantiated that immigrants from foreign cultures that come here swiftly Americanize and integrate into the predominant culture. So my argument would be then that culture is not a matter of race, since I have very little in common with my Alabaman relatives, who I have to see every fucking other year when I fly down to Alabama. So it's not a race thing, it's instead a location thing. And the black people who live around me, because they were born in America, I assume, I haven't asked, they share my cultural values. So in order for you to refute this point, you would have to tell me...
I never refuted your culture.
So you agree culture and race aren't related. Culture is related to your environment, not to your race.
I would agree to some extent. It's also in where you define culture.
What culture would you define that is intrinsically tied to one's race?
I think that when you look at culture and when you look at IQs, you kind of tend to see that lower IQ places have a certain culture, higher IQ places have a other higher established culture. Okay.
So, I agree with you. Did you know that in the southern states of America, where there is relatively poor funding for education, the average IQ in those rural areas is comparatively low compared to, say, inner city IQ in most major cities in America, and there's a cultural difference there too. Also, studies have shown that education correlates highly with one's IQ, whereas race doesn't seem to, not intrinsically. So I would make the argument that as long as people who come to this country benefit from our educational system in a way that is conducive towards giving them a higher IQ, which it seems to, that these people would eventually come to share my cultural values.
Okay. What about the freedom of speech?
What about it? Or so are you dropping all previous points?
No. What about right to bear arms?
What about it? I'm extremely pro-gun. Why are you just ranting off things? You were like wrong on the race culture immigration thing.
Because if you think that you can import these people and maintain these things.
Well, hold on. Wait. Hold on. We're not. No. We're not importing. We're not importing anyone. We're not importing anyone. They're goods.
Let you make a point.
Okay, sure. You're right. I'll debunk yours when you're done.
If we're going to have demographic change through immigration, which is it's over 1 million people a year, our demographics are clearly changing. You're going to just import different people, and you think that this culture is going to stay the same? Like just across the country, yeah, certain areas, like your town, it might. But I mean, come on.
Yeah, culture would change anyway. I don't want culture to stay the same.
Oh, okay, but like, I think we both know what I was getting at.
Dude, if you're
You think
just no,
that it would
if you're
protect-
just gonna like race
you think
realism me, just say it. I don't give a fuck. We're on YouTube. No one cares.
I'm just saying it's disingenuous.
No,
When we're talking
it's not.
about, when we're
You're
talking
making.
about I'm making a point. When we're talking about free speech and right to bear arms, those are two things that we're seeing against the minorities are against that more
No,
than white
they're
people.
not.
They are.
No, they're not. That's factually undemonstrated.
Pew Research.
Pew Research. Do you want to provide some Pew Research links? Also, wait. Actually, wait. I can back up one step. I don't care. I want this country's values to represent the values of the people inside of this country. If people come in and they want to change values in regards to certain things considering our Constitution, like to add an amendment.
Argument I have ever heard in my life.
I'm sorry?
That was so cucked. Oh my god.
Hey, do you know what sounds really cucked to me?
God.
Well, hold on. I know you're about to have fun. Hold on, buddy. Whether you like it or not, I know that you hold.
But I'm cucked.
Wait, hold on. You had your talk, now I have my talk. I know that you people get really offended by like basic facts, but cultures change no matter what. Cultures never stay the same. Nowhere in the history of humanity, whether these societies were ethnically homogenous or not, did cultures stay the same. And I believe, because I believe in democracy, that nations should represent the values of their constituency. As in, if the citizenry wants to alter an amendable document like the Constitution, they have every legal and moral right to do so. Do you know what sounds really cucked to me? Fighting against the historical inevitability of cultural change. Desperately clinging on like a baby to mama's titty to something that makes you feel comforted when the world is changing and there's nothing you can do to stop it. That sounds cuck to me. You are making me cringe. You have posted cringe, and you are going to lose subscriber.
Okay, I'm not a subscriber.
Yeah, that's why you're going to lose it.
Okay, all right.
It really is pathetic to me. I'm not like, this isn't a flourish rhetorically. I think it's disgusting that people can get that invested.
You're gonna let other people move it. Like, you're gonna like let that happen. And just let your guns get taken away.
No, I am going to allow open, sensible immigration policies. I am an anarchist. I don't even believe in states or borders, obviously. And I am going to fight rigorously to defend the right to bear arms of myself and everyone else. However, I live in a democracy, and I'm not the only citizen here. I will fight to represent my own interests, and I trust that others will do the same, and I will do everything in my power to ensure the greatest number of people here share my values as possible. But I won't do it by keeping people out of the country, because that's antithetical to my values.
Do you think that like that anarchism is kind of like a fantasy land?
I mean, you're literally talking about preserving a culture. So I don't know if you want to talk to me
about promoting a culture.
Yeah, promoting one to preserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking cringe to me.
Being a culture.
Do you know enough about anarchism, like theoretically, to be able to discuss it?
I mean, I think I do. We can talk about it.
Well, so far you've demonstrated a shocking level of ignorance on literally every subject that's come up, so I sincerely doubt you're educated on anarchism, of all things.
Oh, yeah. It's a fantasy land, dude.
Wow. You've done it. Academia debunked. Is that all you have to say about it?
Well, you're also a cuck.
Oh, got him. Is this really all you have? You're actually doing worse than the last Nazi I brought on.
Not a Nazi.
Okay. What differences are there between you and a Nazi? You called yourself a nationalist, but then you started talking about race and IQ. So you, as to affirm my theory, you people always lie. You never represent your views clearly. So you called yourself a nationalist, but then you start rambling about preserving a culture and race and IQ, and then you say Nick Fuentes only cared a little bit about race. So yeah, I think, pardon me for my inductive reasoning here. What's disingenuous?
Call Nick a Nazi. I've said that.
Okay. You haven't demonstrated how he isn't. Like, you've still, like, we went on from that topic because you couldn't debunk it. You realize that, right? You realize we moved on because you couldn't debunk it.
Is slightly like, I don't think that slightly talking about the demographics and how that
he doesn't slightly. It's a huge talking point in his show, and he very expressly indicates that race mixing is immoral and that white people should be able to create their own ethno-states. I don't think he cares a little bit about race. So you failed on that point.
You don't think that in...
Why are you standing? Why are you so cowardly? Just say, yeah, I'm a Nazi. Here are my values. Why?
You don't believe in self-determination?
I say I'm an anarchist. I don't hide. I don't say, yeah, I'm a left-leaning liberal. And then I start talking about gulagging the rich. I don't lie. Why are all of you such cowards? I don't know if you're too stupid to understand your own values or if every single one of you just lacks the fucking guns to go and stick to your phone's fucking arguments. It's pathetic. It's so cocked. It's so fucking... Wait, hold on, wait. For my chat, can we all imagine being so afraid of your own political values that you won't even fucking represent them?
I said you should have a nation and that it should serve the best interests of the people.
Okay, so could you describe to me in what way you're not like a Nazi?
Because in a world with other nations, that might be a good idea.
Okay. So that's the totality of your views. You hold nothing else concerning race and culture and IQ?
I believe that you should try and maintain your people.
Okay. That you realize that that's not civic nationalism. That's racial nationalism, right? Also known as white nationalism?
I'm a nationalist. I'm also a black nationalist and an Asian nationalist.
It's funny that you call me disingenuous. Obviously, dude, you want America.
That Native Americans should have their own land.
No, I've actually heard some pretty compelling arguments that the dissolution of their reservations and like a different solution to the problem that we've created.
I'd be interested on listening, but I do think that they deserve something. I think all people deserve that.
Yeah, I know. You feel that way. I don't care. So again, why do you lie about your values? You represent yourself as a nationalist. Do you know who is a nationalist? George W. Bush. He's a nationalist. You're not a nationalist. You're a white nationalist.
I wouldn't say that war was very nationalist, but okay.
You're a white nationalist, which makes you pretty close to being a Nazi. So let's get so far in every respect, you hold true to the literal canonical definition of Nazism. But let's see.
I'm
let's
also
see
a black
if you
nationalist.
I don't. Yeah. Of course. Whites for Europe, blacks for Africa. I get it. I've heard all the lines before, dude. It's not slippery anymore. This is very obvious dog whistling that nobody here is impressed by.
Dog whistling.
But let's talk about the final view, okay? How do you feel, my friend, my comrade? Do you feel like the world is being controlled by a shadowy cabal of people who are using global capitalism to wage war against the Gentiles? Do you believe that?
No.
Okay, cool. So what do you? So you don't think that there's any like heinousness or maliciousness to the disproportionate representation of Jewish people?
I think that no, dude. What? Come on.
Oh yeah, you're right. Wow, you're right. It would be so out of the ordinary for someone who believes in white nationalism to believe in the JQ.
Dude, come on, hop on.
So again, JQ or no?
That there is one cell in the human body that seeks endless growth, and that is the cancer cell. That is similar to money, where it seeks endless growth.
Okay, that was very stupid. What does that have to do with anything that we've talked? What?
Capitalism.
Okay, yeah, I'm an anti-capitalist. What does this have to do with the Jews? So wait, I asked you. Wait, yeah, I asked you about the Jews.
I don't care about Jews. Why are you?
Ooh, pretty anti-Semitic, buddy.
Oh yeah, cool.
Okay, well, you did it. If you really don't believe that there's like a Jewish conspiracy theory, then congrats. You're not a Nazi. You're a white nationalist. I'm proud of you. We did it. We accurately... It only took us like 40 minutes, but after you lied at the beginning of the discussion, we've now determined what you believe in. I just openly state my own beliefs. I make it easy for you, but, you know.
I've made it very easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a nationalist. Just people should be able to protect their own culture. I mean, we should defend a culture. I mean, certain races have certain IQs that lead to certain cultures. I mean, people should be able to freely associate. I'm a black and Asian nationalist too. Yeah, all right. Nah, yeah, you were very open and front-facing with your values, my dude. No, it's good. I appreciate you being so honest.
It's called the right of self-determination.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And I believe... So, wait, why don't you tell me what the right to self-determination means to you? Does it mean that you should be able to demographically, like, remove and prevent people of color from entering your country?
means you. I mean, not even just people of color, just outsiders
No.
in general.
The right to self-determination is not a moral law. It is a general idea that nations should have individual autonomy. And that individual autonomy of a nation doesn't necessarily refer to inherently immoral acts. For instance,
I never talked about morals.
Well, that's the thing. I would consider deporting and barring brown people from entering the country is inherently unethical. I would consider that a grievous act of state-sanctioned violence, unquestionably. Yeah. So
would you deport people who are here?
So hold on. I wasn't done with my point. So if a nation gassed its own civilians like a weapon of mass destruction, they could not then turn around to the UN and say, "Oh, it's just right to self-determination." See, that doesn't really fly there.
No, not in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not in the sense of deporting or barring brown people from entering the country either.
Not about genocide people. Like I think that you can work out
deals.
Wow,
what a moderate you are. You don't want to genocide them. You just want to kick them out of the country. Wow. I wish there were more Nazis like you, dude. You're the MLK of the Nazi movement.
Pretty sure we just agreed that I wasn't a Nazi. And I never talked about like.
I mean, you've lied on everything else, so you're probably lying about the JQ thing.
I never said anything about kicking people out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, what do you want to do with the non-white population in America then? Here's the question. Because you said the right to self-determination is what gives you the ability to do whatever it is you advocate. Hold on, wait, I'm giving you a challenge. You said the right to self-determination is the principal issue here. So, can you say that you're going to do something without doing anything immoral?
When did I say I wanted to deport people?
Okay, what do you want to do? I'm curious. I'm all ears.
Do about what?
The brown people in this country.
What do you mean?
The brown people in this country. You said that wait, hold on. You said that you're a black nationalist and an Asian nationalist. Are you saying you're not a white nationalist? You would let all these swarthy brown folks migrate to our country and dilute all culture, but you would allow China and so on and such forth to defend their own culture?
I'm saying that if there was a large collection of black people who were just absolutely just so against the United States, they were, whatever, just not for whatever reason, but you know what I'm saying? Like they just finally like sick of it, and they were demanding just like a certain space, or they achieved it in a political sense, like they mass migrated there, something extravagant where a politically worked out deal that wasn't too much of a hassle for everyone else, like say that you guys can live here, but not kick them out, but just do what they want to do. Yeah, sure. I'd be.
So that's the limit of your. If there were black nationalists that wanted to form their own ethno-state.
You asked me how I was a black nationalist. I said if they wanted their own country, I was give them that.
Okay, I understand you're high, but what I said was actually part of a larger sentence where I was asking you how you would enforce your white supremacist values on this country, or I'm sorry, your white nationalist values.
Okay, I never said I would.
Okay, so you're 100% okay with this country being like, what is it, like 40% non-white right now, and the increasing million people that come into this country every year. You're okay with that?
I don't. I think that's not really a great thing.
Why?
I think that the migration isn't so much about a beneficial thing for us.
Oh, and you wouldn't do anything if you could control this country. You wouldn't change a thing.
I wouldn't let in so many people as we currently are. And I say currently as in like the very current where it's at a very relative high.
Okay. So you would cut down on immigration. Would you do it by race, or would you decrease the number of European people coming in as well?
I would do it with European people as well.
Okay. And you would be totally okay with the fact that nearly half of this country is non-white, and you wouldn't do anything demographically, policy-wise to change that?
I would honestly. I think that there's a very good argument with eugenics, and I think that
wait. Good argument with what? Oh, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
In a degree of eugenics, small degree.
Oh, okay. So there we go. Again, it took 20 minutes of massaging your tiny brain, but you eventually come around to what I was obviously trying to get you to say.
Yes, if you had asked me yes or no, I would have said it. It's not that I'm like evading it.
I have literally spent like 5 to 10 minutes trying to suss out what policies you would engage in to enforce white supremacy. I literally did. I said no. You can't run away from this. I asked you and you were like, "Who says I would do anything?" Come on, buddy. You're so dishonest. Holy shit. It's pathetic. What? You know what I would have respected? What if I had asked and you would immediately been like, "Hey, I would reduce the number of people coming in and I do support eugenics to a degree." If you had just said that, I would have at least respected you for your honesty. But instead you dance around it for 5 or 10 minutes like a fucking bitch.
Dude, let me okay. You never asked me
crazy cream of the crop, dancing around the point yet again.
Okay, fucking dude. I get you have low testosterone, but calm down.
Dancing around. Yeah, it's very high tea of you to whine like a bitch every time I accuse you of lying.
You never asked me.
You never asked me if I specifically supported eugenics. You just asked me on what policies I would use to enforce white nationalism.
To what degree? Oh my god, you're fucking retarded. To what degree?
You never said eugenics. You never asked.
You know what okay, so do you want to know what I would do specifically? I would promote
hit me up, boy.
IQ couples to create.
Wait, what couples?
High IQ couples.
Okay, you do realize that IQ is pretty much a product entirely of one's like education and environment.
If we want to come up, I would love to come up with a better method of determining your intelligence, and not only that, but a way to determine your like moral status. You know, so like something along the lines of like your family's history in terms of like crime and all this.
What? Wait. Do you think that like criminality is hereditary?
I think there might be to some sense.
Well, there's not. That's your feeling. This is very stupid and anti-academic. I mean, if that's your feeling, listen, I support people being able to identify however they like. And if you want to identify as somebody who like just ignores facts and goes with whatever feels right, like believing criminality is hereditary, then I
said in some sense.
In some sense, sure, in the sense that, like, if you commit a crime and get, like, fucked in jail and come out and you're poor and then you have a kid, your kid will probably be more likely to go into crime because they're poor. But that's not a hereditary issue. That's cyclical income inequality, which is mostly a racial thing.
As a complete thing where it's like I'm just saying possible factors, dude. Like,
well, no, you're not. You're just spouting bullshit that reaffirms your worldview. No, you're not. Let me just list a couple of random thoughts I have as well. The skull shape of the Caucasoid, I feel like it prohibits empathy. There's just something lacking, something essential to the human experience. I don't really know. I'm just saying.
You're not a Caucasoid?
What?
You're not a well, I assumed you were white.
Yeah, I am white, yes. And I'm feeling very little empathy for you right now.
I don't understand why. You're just being like a cocksucker.
A cocksucker. I mean, you've got me. I do suck dick. But in what respect specifically?
Oh man, I honestly could have told.
Yeah. So is it intrinsic to your nationalist values that you think that it's like weird to be gay?
No, I have a gay uncle. I think it's cool.
Wow, cool. All right, listen, this has been pretty fun. I went about it how I expected it to. Before I ban you from my Discord server, how about you tell me like a specific eugenicist policy that you would like to engage in?
Like I said, like if you want to come up with a test better, I mean, you see some positive correlations that come with high IQ. If you want to come up with like a better one, I would love to.
I've got a good one. I've got a good one. I do. No, I do. Since science has consistently reaffirmed that IQ is a product largely of environment and educational access rather than race, what if instead of incentivizing high IQ couples to breed because their high IQ won't affect the IQ of their child inherently, that would be a product of the education and environment they're born up into. Instead, we work to fix all of the low income areas in this country so that everyone.
I definitely want to do that.
Cool.
But
okay.
I'm just saying, like, because we import people to fill jobs, and we have a birth rate, that isn't, not footing the bill.
Well, wait. Don't say we. I'm an American. America's replacement rate is fine. You're talking about white people, but I don't really care about white people. I don't care about any race.
I'm talking about high IQ people.
Yeah, you mean like the Nigerians that immigrate here? They have an average higher IQ, vastly higher.
The best of the best. What my problem is with taking the best of the best is that those other countries aren't going to get better.
See, that's an interesting theory, unsubstantiated by data. Because as it turns out, there's such a thing as remittances, where people who come to this country. where people who come to this country to benefit from our systems get very educated. Often they move back to their home country, or through remittances, they send money back to their family in their home country, which allows that country to benefit from the from the immigration of those very successful people.
Yeah, I think they could do more help back there.
Okay.
I think that.
Wait, why would you care? You're a nationalist.
Yeah.
Okay, so we agree. The best way to tackle the problem of low IQ in America is to fix the educational system and reduce systemic inequality.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm glad. I mean, that has nothing to do with race, so I don't know why you made it all weird, but I'm glad we eventually arrived at a decent place at the end.
I just said that I would promote a birth rate of people that were desirable, in a sense that, like, like I said, you see good correlation with IQ. Others like that. If you want to find a better one than IQ, and we can do like other types of, like, I don't know.
I mean, well, no, IQ isn't a good determining characteristic for determining like the worth of a person
Sure.
to a society.
You want to find a better one? I'm
no, there isn't a characteristic. Society is really complicated. You can't numerically, statistically determine the value of a person to society. People have been trying for centuries and they've never succeeded. Society is more complicated than that.
We are humans, dude. I think that we could probably get pretty close in that regard.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been fun. Do you have like a channel you want to shout out to the audience, or?
No.
Right.
If that's it, I mean, you just kind of like a bitch. You just dodged and talked and rambled and evaded.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I hear that from every like ass-paying Nazi who couldn't substantiate a single point. So I've come to think of it as their way of thanking me for the privilege of speaking to me.
What points did I not substantiate?
Literally everything we talked about. But I'm not going to go over the whole argument again, because you know what you would say after it? What point didn't I substantiate? Have a good one.
All right, man. You too. Have fun sucking dick.
I will. Every time. All right. That was fun. Sorry, LTS. I got there first. Whew! Oh, that was fun. God damn. You know what? I know you people say there's no rhetorical value to me talking with people like that, but I gotta say, it feels really good. Oh, man, it feels really fucking good. I feel like I get wittier every time.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm doing great. Oh, yeah, now that's a nice, clean microphone. No iPad shenanigans here. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. Just been waiting a little while, listening to your previous convo. Didn't seem to work out the best, but
yeah. All right. So I've been told you're intelligent, which in my experience dealing with people with your values means that you're just better at being dishonest. So let's hit it up. Let's fucking do it. I'm ready.
Well, I guess we're kind of poisoning the well right away, but I'm fine with that.
Wait. Serious. Do you want to be civil? I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I do actually. I'm not, into the sparring really all that much. But I wanted to come on here just to talk about, I guess you mentioned multiple times during your stream how there's this consensus about what academia thinks about race. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you've looked that up.
No, I have.
But
I'm familiar with the like long longitudinal studies from like decades ago that get cited by Nazis over and over and over again. And I'm aware that for every one of those articles, there's like 100 more that disaffirm the conclusions of those. So when I say academic consensus, I don't actually mean literally everything ever published. I mean the vast majority of articles and peer-reviewed studies seems to indicate this general trend. But I should probably clarify.
Could you?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. Yeah, of course there are some articles that show that there are some disparities and what have you. But in terms of like a broad meta-analysis, and I can say this factually, there has never been a broad, affirmed, non-controversial, and I don't mean that in a social sense, I mean that in terms of the methodology, meta-analysis, which affirms the prior supposition that people, like I assume maybe you hold, that there is an intrinsic difference in IQ between races. Stuff like that is very difficult to research and control for.
Well, I mean, what do you mean by intrinsic difference between IQ and race?
So here would be my argument, okay? Even if we ignore the fact, by the way, that IQ has been proven to be racially biased in terms of how culturally it responds.
No, I can
contesting a very, very well
that right off the bat. Point. Yeah, there is. I would point immediately to a survey by intelligence researchers, whether asked if the IQ test is biased culturally or not. They with a pretty large majority, say that it is not.
Okay, could you provide me that
yes,
that consensus?
Sure. It's Reeve and Charles. It's a 2008 study.
Sure.
It's behind a paywall, unfortunately.
Hold on.
By Charles L. Reeves and Jennifer E. Charles is the co-author.
Reeves, you say?
Reeves, Reeveve.
Gotcha. Reeves, Charles, case for.
And basically.
Oh, nice. The literal first two articles that come up are from the alternative hypothesis, a known lying Nazi. Nice. All right.
Well, I mean, we're talking about primary sources, though, right? 73% of the intelligence researchers surveyed say that IQ tests are not racially biased. So,
okay, you do realize that's not the same as proving they're not. There's been a lot of contention on the subject. I also need to find this article, but sure, I can't because when I look it up, all I see is Nazis.
Sure, but could you, as a layman, I'm not going to obviously go into every study. I'm not. I don't have a PhD in genetics or biology or something, and I never will. I'm a real estate agent.
Is it Charles or Charlie?
Charles.
Let's see. Okay.
So as a layman, I'm really just looking at what surveys say for the most part with this sort of thing, and if I'm seeing 70% say one thing and no, at least qualitative evidence to the contrary, I tend to hold that.
Okay, wait, here, I think I found it. Reeves and Charles. Oh, it's not Charles Reeves, it's Reeves and Charles, two separate researchers. Yeah, Survey of Opinions on the Primacy of G and Social Consequences of Ability Testing. See, I actually am academically qualified to read this, but obviously I don't have the paywall, or I can't breach the paywall, so. A comparison of expert and non-expert views. Let's see. Current studies in the view of experts, scientific methods, G and the ability testing compares their reviews and psychologist results. G is important, non-trivial, determinant, real outcomes. Tests are valid, generally free from racial bias. Experts did not reach consensus on issues such as the degree to which specific abilities or combinations of non-cognitive traits use G alone. The predictive validity of G for non-technical work outcomes. Implications of race elements. Primarily dealing with susceptibility of ability test to racial biases. Several discrepant beliefs between these groups, primarily dealing with the primacy of G, susceptibility of ability tests to racial bias, and the potential value of ability testing. So it seems like even in this article, there's contention on the subject. So what this is a survey of opinions from researchers on this subject. But the fact that there's any difference at all, or at least a statistically significant difference, this isn't like climate science, like 97-3. A 30-70 indicates a degree of contention on the validity of IQ tests regarding race that I would consider to be sufficient to indicate that there is at least questions as to whether or not IQ tests have a racial bias. But, I mean, I'm not saying that makes this study invalid. I would cite the argument from the research that I have read that IQ tests do tend to have a racial bias because there are a lot of cultural elements that are brought about, that are invoked in IQ tests that people of different races or people of different environments may have different levels of intrinsic understanding of.
Sure, but what about it's a study by, and I know you're going to poo-poo this source as well, but I believe Jensen, Arthur Jensen, that pointed out that minorities actually do the best out of all the subtests on the culturally biased subtests. They do the best on relative to the others. So I'm just wondering what you think about that. If that were true.
I mean, I wouldn't know until I read like the article, or is it an article or is it a larger body of work?
It's a study. Let me see.
Holy shit, this dude's old. This dude's 96.
He's dead, I think.
He's dead? Well, this website doesn't say that. This website should update their shit. Oh, yes, no, he died in 2012. Well, fuck that website. Let's see. American psychologist and author, educational psychology, psychometrics and differential psychology, behavioral. A major proponent of the hereditarian position in the nature and nurture debate, the position that genetics play a significant role in behavioral traits such as intelligence and personality, who is the author of over 400 scientific papers published in refereed journals and sat on the editorial boards of the scientific journals Intelligence and Personality and Individual Differences. I would not be able to engage with his findings unless I had the actual... Jensen was controversial largely for his conclusions regarding the causes of race-based differences in intelligence. All right, so I am not saying that what this person researched is intrinsically incorrect. That would be very incorrect. That would be very unscientific of me. However, I do think it's a little bit telling that whenever alt-righty types or race realist types find like their academic articles to cling to, it's always from people who are broadly maligned for having extremely controversial
Yeah, I mean,
views.
almost all of them receive funding from the Pioneer Fund. But I can find lefty geneticists who have personally told me that they think, despite being right wing, the Pioneer Fund has funded some pretty decent studies. So in and of itself, I mean, that shouldn't dissuade you from engaging with.
No. Like I said, I wouldn't dismiss it outright. But I think that when we're speaking about scientific consensus, usually when we're talking about broad, like socioeconomic or educational or psychological things like this, it's usually better to cite consensus or broad meta-analyses rather than the works of one person who was known specifically for controversial takes on this. Because this person right here, this person isn't known for being controversial because he believed that IQ tests were biased in favor of racial minorities. His views are controversial because he believed that genetics played.
We're talking about cultural bias there, though, right? We're not talking about, because on IQ tests, there's certain subtests which are more culturally biased than others, right?
I would agree
that's
with
what
that.
You're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think on that particular issue, I don't think really anyone. Wouldn't say that there's a meta-analysis on that. I've only ever seen.
I mean, I have, and like I don't have like the anti-Nazi document to wave around, but I have engaged with numerous meta-analyses contesting not only the broad validity and accuracy of IQ tests and the ways in which they reflect racial biases, but also a broader criticism of IQ as a concept and how it's a very inaccurate and culturally biased way of determining like intelligence or personal validity. I've engaged with a lot of material on that, and it sure as fuck wasn't from like one guy who was super controversial for his views on the subject and maligned in the academic community elsewise. Now, again, that doesn't mean that this is like intrinsically wrong or anything. You know,
you can deconstruct IQ, but I mean, it predicts. Usually in science, what you're looking for primarily is predictive validity, and right?
Yeah, but there's predictive validity in a ton of things.
IQ predicts, where is one of the best predictors of educational attainment, career attainment.
Yeah, but educational attainment is also a predictor of IQ, and height is a good predictor of whether or not you win the presidential nomination.
Yeah, but
just because there's a prediction doesn't mean it's a valid link.
I didn't get the causal mechanism backwards. So they said that an IQ test would be like the causal prediction of educational attainment, like past primary school.
No, but that is factually unsubstantiated. It has been determined in every single relationship, every single like longitudinal study relating IQ to educational access. Every single one has affirmed that your environment plays a massive role in your IQ, including how much education you get and how much like you're doted upon by your parents. So I would say that you actually do have the causal link reversed.
I'm pretty sure the study that I'm alluding to was pretty substantial. So why don't I
off the alternative hypothesis site?
I'll link you to the. This is probably going to be difficult for me to find because I'm probably got to do a lot of Googling. I don't usually access these studies.
Do you really not believe that one's level of like education and their environmental upbringing would play a huge role in their IQ later in life?
I've seen that education has an effect on the rote ability subtest of IQ, but
then why is the average IQ of people in like white people in rural areas, like in Alabama and shit, where they don't have much like educational attainment, why is their IQ like on average 15 to 25 points lower than white people who live just 100 miles away in a large city, where they have better access to education?
I mean, that's a selective sample, though, right? That could be due to genetic differences in IQ even within white people. Why would you assume that that's
just strange how they all seem to concentrate in areas where education is better. No, I think that education's a pretty good predictor for IQ. There are huge variances in IQ all across the world in different groups, and all of them can be explained by educational attainment. Literally all of them, everywhere in the world. Whereas there are a ton of contradictions if you try and use race as a way of explaining these IQ differences.
I mean, that seems like there would be a cross-sectional study about that. I just am not convinced of that, honestly.
Well, okay. I mean, that's fine. I mean, under normal circumstances, I would incline to be charitable towards you because obviously it's ridiculous to expect you to come with a bunch of data and this is cite this source and this source. That would take like an academic and a lot of time and effort. But the main problem that I have is that every single person I've ever talked to who shares your views engages in motivated reasoning. Because
sure, yeah, no, I'm a nationalist, obviously. But
well, you're not. Well, no. Again, W was a nationalist. Obama was a nationalist. Yeah, no, yes.
W was an imperialist. Come on.
You can be. Wait, well, no. Please don't Please don't Candace Owens me. You can be an imperialist and a nationalist. They're not mutually exclusive. Please don't Candace Owens me. I can't be Candace Owens. Not again. Don't do it to me.
Do you think George W. Bush cared about any particular ethnic group? I don't think he did.
Wait. Yeah, because nationalism has nothing intrinsically to do with ethnic groups. It's a country thing.
Yeah, it does.
No. I've heard this argument before.
Etymologically trace nationalism from natios, right? It's an ethnic thing.
And common usage of the term defines it as relating from nation. And nation is a relatively new concept. Nation states didn't exist 300 or 400 years ago. They had kingdoms.
Sure.
What we have now is very different, and nationalism derives from that term, and a nation has nothing to do with ethnicity, only to do with a political and legal construct.
We're just kind of being pedantic.
No. Nationalism has nothing to do intrinsically. I've heard this argument before. Listen, if you want to have your special snowflake definition where it means like race, then that's
George W. Bush and like Richard Spencer are not equivalent in any way.
No, because Richard Spencer isn't just a nationalist; he is a white nationalist.
Okay, fine. We can specify white nationalist. That's fine.
Yeah. So you're a white nationalist, right?
Right.
Yeah, thank God.
Sure.
Thank you for being honest. Fucking Christ, that last guy was giving me a fucking migraine. Most of you people are too cowardly to actually express I don't know if it's like congenital stupidity, like they don't know what they believe, but I appreciate that you are actually upfront with the things that you believe in. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Yeah, no. I mean, obviously W and Obama weren't like white nationalists or whatever, but I would say they fit within the purview of nationalism because as like heads of state, they have to represent the interests of their nation, meaning their rhetoric and their ideology has to be tailored towards that end specifically. It's hard to be like an anti-nationalist or like a true globalist if you're beholden specifically to the demographics that elected you into office. But in terms of like white nationalism, that's a whole other tasty little fucking meal for us to dig on into. So white nationalism. Why? That was my question.
Oh, is that just an open-ended question?
Yeah, please. Fuck. Why?
That's you can't come up with like a leading question to tee things off because that's too broad of a question.
I mean, okay, like I can say this, like I'm an anarcho-syndicalist, and I am that because I want to reduce hierarchy as much as possible. My belief is that fundamentally all human beings should be endowed with the same basic rights and protections, and people should be able to live their lives as freely as possible. And I want this because I want to maximize well-being for as many sentient creatures as possible. I extend those rights to an extent to animals, which is why I also want to fight against the meat industry. I want to build a world that allows pretty much everything that's alive in a degree proportional to their level of sentience, which humans obviously reign on top of, to be able to live free and happy. And that's what I want. And everything you believe in stands opposite of that. You're actually the antithesis to that. You're like my dark reflection in the mirror, because you believe, and I think this is safe to assume, fundamentally in hierarchy, you believe some people are better than other people, and that the world should be curtailed around hierarchy to ensure the people who are most deserving are able to live their lives freely, regardless of what consequences they might have for the people undeserving of those protections. I think that's monstrous. Did I accurately?
No, I mean. I can see what you mean, but I don't. Maybe I'm different from other white nationalists, and then I don't fetishize hierarchy. I don't think it's terribly important. I'm a nationalist for utilitarian reasons. I think racially homogeneous societies result in more happiness and more well-being. And I would cite the string of about 93 studies done originally by Putnam from Harvard, his ethnic cohesion studies.
I'm familiar.
That showed that ethnic diversity negatively correlates with a whole slew of things.
Do you think that might
the study has been replicated about half the time?
Yeah,
also.
no, I know, and it changes. And my sort of response to that would be that all of those problems that come along with diversity, and I assume you mean racial diversity. We're not talking about like
yes.
the
replications seem to only replicate when race is involved.
Yeah, my argument would be that is largely
linguistic and intraracial ethnic diversity. It doesn't replicate, but for race it does.
Yeah, my argument would be that this is largely because of systemic discrimination, and that agitation tends to crop up because we still have a lot of baggage to deal with when it comes to treating people equally. Not that there's like an intrinsic, like black people and white people are like magnets, like they have different diodes in their head, and if they come too close, they have to fight each other. I don't think this is the case. And to support my argument, I would cite a plethora of pre-modern civilizations, the easiest one being Rome, which has outlasted our civilization up to its point by quite a long time, over 1,000 years of successful Roman civilization. And their conception of race was very different to ours. They didn't have black or white people or brown people or whatever. They didn't have swarthy people. They didn't have dark-skinned or light-skinned people. Well, of course, they had those people, but they didn't care. The only thing they cared about was whether you were a Roman citizen or a barbarian. But within the purview of Roman citizens, black-skinned and white-skinned people, Moors from northern Africa, and Grecian people who would be considered white nowadays, they interacted just fine with very little historical records of tension going along those lines. To them, skin color and race, what we would call race today, was just like eye color to us. It's just like a physical thing that some people have and other people don't, and whatever. It doesn't mean anything.
I mean, it sounds like a plausible story, but I'm not convinced of that. I mean, the etymology of race goes back, probably to Tacitus.
Not our understanding of race. Our understanding of race is pretty concretely a product of the transatlantic slave trade.
You see, that's the story, but I'm really not. I'm really not sure of that.
I know, but I know it is. That's historical consensus. Our conceptualization of race, and people used to think that like French people were too swarthy to be considered white.
Oh.
People had some weird.
Huh? That's not what I know. The specific source that you're citing there, and that's Ben Franklin, and he didn't literally mean that.
No, not Ben Franklin. No. There were historical texts from. I've read ones that detailed the 1400s. I am sure there are ones that can be corroborated across a broader length of time. People didn't really care about ethnic differences amidst like the European wars. They cared about religious differences, cultural differences, and like national heritage. They didn't call it national, like kingdom heritage. That was their like shit. But our modern conceptualization of white people being this like collective unified identity that stands opposite to the big other groups, which is black and brown and Asian people, that is very much a product of the 1600s and onward. There are no historical studies that indicate that worldview, that framework, being before that point.
I would say, if we want to get super technical, white is it's an Anglo-Saxon ethnic group, a pan-European ethnic group, and especially among the diaspora in Australia, New Zealand, and America, Canada.
I mean, I think it's all arbitrary.
Whether that's defined in the negative, I mean, I think is irrelevant.
I mean, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to me. Whiteness, all racial constructs or social constructs. Whiteness is probably
doesn't mean they don't correspond to genes.
Mm-hmm.
And social organizing is not something you can ignore and hand wave away. I mean,
what do you mean by social organizing?
When you say social construct, it's meant to sort of trivialize it.
No. Wait. No, not at all. No. Race is very important in that it's an issue we have to deal with. It's real in that its consequences are real. But like, if we were to like Thanos snap race out of existence conceptually, like in our heads, it wouldn't be removing like an element of the human physiology. It wouldn't be like removing anything intrinsic to humanity.
Well,
it would just be something we've made.
In the sense that races don't exist out in like the out in the what's it called, ether. Mm-hmm. It obviously has to be defined by humans, but it obviously corresponds to phenotype and genetic clusters.
Well, the genetic clusters that I've read tend to correlate more to one's environment. For example, West Africans who have their sickle cell shit, like the stuff to prevent sickle cell anemia, those genetic advantages seem to disappear when those people are brought over on slave ships and kept in our country for a few hundred years. Even if they're pure black, never race mixed with a white person, these advantages, with people often considered to be like a racial characteristic, reveal themselves to be an environmental one. In reality, the racial divisions that we see are pretty much entirely phenotypical. And this has been affirmed through biological study after biological study, affirming that there is almost no genetic variance between the average white and black person, and that there's more variance between a white person and an average white person than there would be between an average white person and an average black person. Genetically, we all seem to be pretty much the same. It's just a cone of paint.
That's not true at all. You think there's more genetic variance between two white people than there would be a white person and a black person?
Yeah, the whiteness actually encompasses a pretty broad range of like hereditary.
A single allele, maybe. If we're using a single or like a handful of cherry-picked alleles, that might be true. But
no.
On average, that's not true at all.
No, it is. The whiteness, like white people, actually constitute a pretty broad range of environmental.
Sure.
Well, hold on.
That doesn't mean that they don't cluster together on average.
Well, I mean, sure, on average, but there are lots of white people in Europe who we wouldn't consider white 100 years ago that have different environmental and genetic characteristics, not to mention those that came over to the New World in Australia, not to mention those that went down to South Africa. If we form white people, or everyone considered white, into a conglomerate and looked at the racial or genetic variance within that group, it would be greater.
We're talking about originally Europe as a geographic landmass has all sorts of things that would cause genetic bottlenecks, and those things persist obviously into the modern day. I mean, just look at phenotype. There's your very obvious proof of that. I mean, things don't genetic similarity.
But you're arguing. I know that it feels like there's a big difference because black people are black and have big noses and stuff. But if you look beneath the skin, then it really does seem to be that race means like basically nothing, like nothing at all.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when we talk about genes, there's like 15% difference between the races depending on how you define
15% of our DNA.
15%, not of our base pairs of our genes. Base pairs were 99% similar, but with genes between races, depending on how many races you choose,
controlled for environment.
50%. What do you mean controlled for environment?
Like I said, the sickle cell shit in West Africa, environment seems to cause a change in ones.
Depending on how many groups you break the human genetic continuum into.
No, controlling for environment. My contention is that basically everything going on under genetically, everything going on under the surface.
The FSP value here. Wait.
What?
The FSP value.
The what?
Which is we take the FST value, which is the total genetic variance of humanity, and we divide it by, say there's 4 major races, and depending on, there's all sorts of measures of total human genetic diversity, but say we let me pull
I'm not trying to be mean, but this is literally like settled science. Like the variation thing, there's so little genetic difference underneath the skin. It's really almost all phenotypical, and what remains is almost entirely environmental. That is to say, it has nothing to do with your race, only where you're born.
Nonsensical statement, man.
Huh?
Here, pull up the study. Is Homo sapiens polytypic or monotypic? It's by Woodley. And go to page 197.
What am I about to look up? The ncbi.nlm.
There's several lists. There's 3 lists of total genetic variation in humans, and we can do the math with each other, and you'll see.
All right. Well, hold on. I'm trying to find a full text link. Just a second.
There's one on the sacred print temps.
Right.
.wordpress.
Hold on. From Michael A. Woodley. Oh, from the alt-right person, the eugenicist who holds pseudo-scientific and fringe science views, including cryptozoology, eugenics, hereditarianism, and racialism. Whew. All right. No wonder I hadn't heard about this. So, okay, I should clarify. I'm sorry. I misspoke earlier. When I said scientific consensus, I was referring to actual researchers and not cranks who make their money by reaffirming racist presuppositions.
Okay, so let's go to one of the studies that measures human genetic diversity then. Let's choose Bocock et al. Let's when was this study made?
How many of these studies do you have memorized? Do you have like a document?
Why don't we just go to the table where he cites other people, real scientists, quote unquote, and let's just demonstrate what I'm talking about.
Because meta-analyses done by biased people can produce unfavorable or unequal results, even if the people they're citing are still legit researchers. Yeah, meta-analyses and like the credibility of the meta-analysis matters a lot. There's a lot of way to fudge data. That was like the number one thing I learned as a sociology major, is that there are literally a billion fucking ways to put your thumb on the scale when you're doing broad sociological analysis.
Okay,
like this.
So just to get straight to the point, when you take whichever of the 3, measures of diversity you want here, they're all roughly the same, between 0.7 and 0.76, right?
All right, I don't know. I'm not a biologist. I can't engage with biological research.
Let's say there's a broad Eurasian category, a broad African category, and a broad Amerindian category, right? That's 3, and maybe throw in Australians.
Mm-hmm.
You take the FSP and you divide it by, whichever races we choose as broad racial groups, you'll find a number between 15 and 19%. So that is the between race variance.
Yeah, I would need a literal doctorate in biology or epigenealogy to be able to assess the validity of those metrics for determining human genetic variation, and to see the extent to which they controlled for environment, and to see the extent to which they controlled.
That doesn't make any sense, man. What do you mean by controlling for environment? We're measuring genetic diversity here.
Yeah, because genetics can be affected by the environment into which you're born. I would argue that hold on.
No, we're talking about the genome as a whole.
Yes, and I don't know. I know you're. Wait, hold on. I know you're mad by this, but hold on. Wait. Remember how earlier I said when West Africans moved out of West Africa, a genetic characteristic that they had held for millennia disappeared? My argument is, and this is not, again, I'm not a biologist. I only have to cite a consensus opinion on this because I'm not qualified to look into the data.
Selection, because it was selected out of them.
No. Wait. What in America would select non-sickle cell anemia immune West Africans? What genetic bottleneck would prevent those people with that set of characteristics? Oh, you don't know? Okay, well, I do know, because it seems like a lot of genetic variance has to do with the environments into which people are born. My argument is that a white person, all white, we can throw some fucking Anglos in there, who grows up and lives for 400 years, this family that I suppose they inbreed, I don't know, they're white, in a part of Africa with a certain set of geological, physiological, environmental conditions, and a black family, all black, all African, does the exact same thing. After 400 years, whatever epigenetic variation there would be between the variative genome between these two groups of people would be reduced down almost exclusively to the base level, the default level of variation you would expect between different groups of human beings. And I have seen research, meta-analyses, reaffirming that position. Now, I can't dig into it because I'm not qualified as a sociologist to assess biological studies, but I know for a fact that I've read those studies, and I'm very confident in their findings.
And could you just restate them in a single sentence?
Much of the average genetic variation that we see between people of different racial groups can be attributed instead to environmental factors rather than some inherent genetic difference. And I should note, by the way, that even when we're on this, we're miles away from
environmental factors or genetic factors. We're talking, I mean, when you discuss variance, we're talking about a single population. I mean, this is what, you know, a smart environmentalist like the people you're on the side with would point out to a dumb race realist. Hey, you can't bring out heritability studies for the whole world. Like that's what you're doing. That's wrong.
Wait, what? No, I'm not. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm citing consensus. I'm not talking about a heritability study for the entire world with no controlling variables. I'm talking about controlling for a variable that often gets ignored in these discussions, because when people are looking into them, they don't know whether or not they should control for this, because they don't know whether people like you are going to extrapolate race realist arguments from it. So what I'm saying is, while there is definitely an average level of genetic variance between people of different racial groups, a lot of that is environmentally based, meaning it is not a product of race itself. It is as much a product of race as one's language is. Unless you think that Arabic people are genetically predisposed to speak Arabic, I would argue that it's a product of their environment, not a racial thing. You could make the argument that there's a correlation between being Arabic and speaking Arabic, but I would not call it a racial thing, because it's not intrinsic to the race, only to the environment. And we're still miles away from like the race and IQ correlation pseudoscience horseshit used to justify white supremacy. Like even on this point, we're splitting hairs on the genetic heritability of traits which might be environmentally factored within a given selection of variants that is controlled for against the 99.9 fucking onwards level of intrinsic genetic relatability between different racial groups. Like, we are so far from like alt-right white nationalist shit, but the people you're sending my way, Michael Minnie and stuff that's cited on the fucking alt-height website, this isn't done to intellectually examine what researchers might have missed about the difference between no. It's done to reaffirm a very specific worldview. Okay, so I would like, if I may, to talk about that worldview, because I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, okay? I'm going to come out and say it. Okay. Though I have not been dishonest here, even if there was some way, a way of proving that black people had on average like 5 less IQ, not environmentally, but 100% a product of their brains or whatever, it still wouldn't change the fact that I want the world to be an egalitarian, open, free place for everyone, and I want to abolish race as a concept. So while I'm not lying to you on this point, I'm still saying that even if it was the case, I would still be arguing in favor of my worldview.
Okay. Yeah, and similarly, IQ doesn't. My ideology doesn't hinge entirely on IQ either.
No, I know that.
It's really ancillary. First and foremost, I'm really interested in. This might come off as a little odd to you, but I'm actually pretty interested in fairness and what I perceive to be, I guess, multiculturalism and mass immigration into really primarily white countries is being unfair. I don't think that I should have to cede political and social control to other ethnic groups. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, why do you think an ethnic group is a good demographic line along which to determine who should have majority power in a country?
Because it's what people primarily organize around. That maybe religion. I think even culture is probably a lot more vague than race and ethnicity. I think it's really primary.
So you think that race is the good one to hinge around because people care about it and because it can be denoted pretty specifically? It's not as arbitrary as cultural differences?
Correct.
All right. I mean,
I think culture is in fact pretty ephemeral.
Yeah.
I
mean, I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, my counter argument to be with this is that ethnicity, being a social construct, is like a completely illegitimate means of determining like who should have democratic control over a given constituency. Like I care as much about the citizens of a different nation as I do about the citizens in mine. Now, I understand that in an electoral democracy, it's reasonable to expect that our leaders prioritize the well-being of American citizens because that's who they were voted in to represent. But ideally, I wouldn't care. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm every bit as much of a human as some like black kid. like in Africa or
Sure.
in Sudan.
I don't even think the worst, Atomwaffen type Nazi would disagree with you there.
Well,
But,
that's the thing. They would, because here's what they would say. They would say, "Oh, I don't hate black or brown people. I just think people should have the right to self-determine and choose who they want to freely associate with." The problem is the consequence of this, even if we ignore all the other horrendous shit fascists do and have a tendency to do, even if we just isolate this one characteristic, this ethno-state shit, we know what the consequences of this are going to be. America has a massively disproportional amount of wealth, certainly compared to a lot of countries that are predominantly made up of non-white people. And what we would essentially be doing is locking ourselves in an ivory tower. This would, and our non-interventionalist policy, which a lot of people who agree with you say they favor, stop getting involved in other countries' business, pull back on global capitalism, turn into like an isolationist, ethno-nationalist nation state. The consequence of this would be not only that we lose our ability to influence the world as a whole, but we lose our ability to improve it. I would say that America has a moral responsibility with its wealth and with its power to benefit to the best of its extent the many, many people who live around the world who are in much more dire straits than we are.
That sounds like a liberal tendency, not an anarchist tendency, but obviously I disagree.
Well, no state would exist in an anarchist world, so it wouldn't even be a fair metric. Like in my ideal, there wouldn't even be like any states. Like goods and resources and wealth would freely move across. There would be no borders, even just across communities.
How do you go about projecting power onto the rest of the world without a state? That just seems so odd to me.
Well, I mean, that's kind of loaded. I don't think that an anarchist society can really exist.
You're expressing this pseudo-imperialistic desire to.
Whoa! I never said. Whoa! I never said like invading other countries.
Based on your ethical, well, not invading, but it's the same mindset of
it's not.
Your specific ethical tendencies you want to.
Are you? So you're accusing me of being culturally imperialist?
Essentially.
In some respects, I am. I do believe that there are a lot of fucked up regressive places around the world that have really shitty attitudes towards LGBT people or that engage constantly in like racial infighting. Not that America has any right to complain about other people doing that, but or have they like female genital mutilation. I am very much against these things, and if I were to engage in interventionist action, I would do my best to kind of ensure that their culture would grow out of this. However, the best way to do that isn't through war or through economic exploitation, because those systems perpetuate the inequality that leads to those things. I would instead want to invest in those nations to help them regrow, to take back the fucking World Bank and IMF's shitty fucking neoliberal policies and indebtedness to developing nations, to instead work with them to invest in their country and to allow them to develop socially to the point that they will eventually lead themselves to the same progressive tendencies that we now enjoy in this country.
Well, I would, being from a totally opposite ethical framework, I would essentially describe that as an evil form of imperialism.
So you think that all ethnic groups should have their own culture and they should have a right to self-determine their own culture, and that any outside interventionalist attempt to address that is like is just hard imperialism and it's shitty?
I think that each culture, I don't think it's practical that every culture is going to have self-determination. I just think that different cultures should.
Which cultures
evolve as they would otherwise. Maybe forming regional alliances or dealing with people with free trade. But
I'm a fan of trade. I'm an anarcho-syndicalist. Like I'm very much like a market economy kind of guy myself.
Yeah, I've looked into mutualism a bit. I found it interesting, but
the problem is anarchism is about abolishing hierarchy, so I don't know if you'd want to hop on that train.
Probably not.
Here's my contention though. Like I don't believe that a person's culture is an excuse. Like for instance, you're American, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would consider you and your values to be like monstrous. In every conceivable respect, like horrific, and I think that a world blighted with you is one distinctly worse than one in which you had never been born. So I would say that my attitudes towards improving the cultures of other societies, ethnicities, nations, whatever, they would be the same that I would take towards, well, you. That I want to maximize the sort of positive cultural development of every group of people by bringing about certain environmental characteristics. Like, for example, high levels of education and racial integration seem to do a pretty good job of turning people left-leaning. So I'm here for that. And I would want to maximize the propagation of values that I believe to be an intrinsic moral good all over the world. So this whole right to self-determination thing, I don't want it anywhere. I don't want China to just be for Chinese people. I criticize Japan and Israel all the time for their own brands of ethno-nationalism. I'm very much against these things.
It's a very totalitarian worldview.
Well, it's really not. It's preventing other groups from being totalitarian, which is not the same as being totalitarian.
It's a morally objectivist, at least authoritarian worldview.
It isn't. In what way am I expressing authoritarianism?
What would be the incentive to want to? I'm trying to figure out a way to express my thoughts without just repeating myself.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I can, because I'm on the back foot here, because I'm the one defending my own shit. Like, if you want, I can elaborate.
Sure.
Yeah, like, I'm not advocating that we go in there and through like military force change how their culture works. I simply think that given certain environmental effects that are pretty much objectively beneficial, like, say, for example, being wealthier, like a country being wealthy. Excuse me, goodness, hiccups. Like a culture being wealthier or a culture having greater levels of academic or educational attainment. I think these things will lead naturally towards people arriving at values that I find morally good. Things like being an egalitarian, being tolerant to an extent, of course, and I would advocate for all of these things through free association, like the meme that all the white nationalists like. I would do it by encouraging people within my own sphere of influence, whether that be my nation or my anarcho-syndicalist union, whatever the case may be, to invest in these places, to give them opportunities that will lead to people from those communities being more educated. Everything that I do would be through free choice. I only believe in actual authoritarian intervention in extreme instances of totalitarian control. I would say, for example, that Israel, North Korea, and probably not China for like practical reasons, but the shit China's done to Tibet is pretty fucking heinous. There are some instances where I think that I could morally justify an actual like ground war, but that doesn't necessarily mean it would be a practical solution. So I would still look for like a case-by-case basis in those instances. So
I guess my comeback to that would be, I don't know if it's a cop-out or not, but what about just the practical, just the practical implementation of those beliefs? Don't you think you'll just be used by the quote-unquote neoliberal establishment to justify like really abusive forms of capitalism and like naked imperialism? Like I think
no, totally. Yeah, no, I hard agree with that. Yeah, right now, any interventionism from the West into a developing nation, unless it's being done like Doctors Without Borders, is probably fine. There are NGOs that do good work, but if you're doing it through a state apparatus, you're probably going to bring about far more misery than you would good. When I was talking about like intervention, I was doing so kind of like from like, if I controlled the country, or if we were in like an anarcho-syndicalist society, talking about doing it from within the framework of our incredibly shitty fucking imperialist country, I would God, that's a lot harder. I mean, the first thing I would do is fight against people like you domestically, because if you ever succeed in turning this into like an ethno-nationalist state, or closing the borders, or preventing immigration, or pulling back from global capitalism.
So say Richard Spencer or Alex Linder, whoever it is, consolidates all the white people into Montana and white people, into Montana, and they want to secede. Would you take up a gun and shoot us?
I mean, if they wanted to secede, I mean, that would be an act of treason, right? Like there's no such thing as a legal secession.
What would an anarchist? I think you're a liberal, but what would a self-described anarchist?
Wait, why do Nazis keep calling me a liberal? Why?
I think most self-described anarchists really fundamentally value liberal ideas, not illiberal anarchist ones.
Well, what anarchist ideals am I failing to live up to? I'm very
Well,
anti-capitalist.
Sure, I guess at least in your words, I've watched multiple streams now, and you seem to call people treasonous a lot. You seem to defend corporate terms of service a lot.
Yeah, I don't think these are
maybe,
antithetical arguments. I mean, I can advocate for doing as much good as possible from within this system now, and then say one day we will live in a different system where a different set of principles can be applied, a more ethical set of principles.
Yeah, the
TOS.
I know.
Well, the TOS
will be enforced one day.
Well, hold on. The TOS of like social media corporations banning Nazis is like the one good thing out of the millions of bad things that corporations do. Like every day I wake up and I check my news feed and it's like a mountain of bad. Wait, hold on. Wait, I'm sorry. I didn't hear a word you just said. I
said they consistently ban nationalists, and they're pretty consistent, at least socially.
Again, not nationalist by everyone else's definition. People who just love America are kept pretty a-okay. It's white nationalists who tend to get banned.
Okay, but from here after, nationalist is white nationalist.
Wait. I don't want to use your fake word. Can't we use my real word?
Fine, white nationalists. They consistently ban and deplatform ethnic and white nationalists.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
You say they're so opposed to you, and yet they deplatform all of your biggest, at least dialectical enemies.
Yeah, they're enemies to both of us. All they care about is serving their own financial interests. And you guys look bad to advertisers, and not only do I look bad to advertisers. Well, hold on. Not only do I look bad to advertisers, I also actively call for like the destruction of the system that they benefit from. So yeah, but wait,
and never deplatform you.
I'm sorry?
And they never deplatform you.
I mean, you shouldn't say that to me. I literally got banned off Twitch. Wait, well, hold on. Wait, you realize who you're talking to? I was the first major left-leaning political streamer ever permabanned from Twitch. Wasn't
that for like being super flamey or something?
No, it was for me criticizing Israel, which is a common lefty talking point.
Okay, that's also, but more so than a lefty trope. That is a white nationalist trope more so.
Well, I was criticizing it from a left-leaning perspective about the humanitarian rights of the Palestinian people and the people. And hold on, you're not letting me explain the context. And the people who reported me, by the way, were white nationalists. And I know that because immediately after my ban, I got a bunch of fucking harassy messages being like, haha, Goyim, better luck next time, from people with the Pepe clown fucking shit as their Twitter profile pic and Discord pic and so on and so forth. So they followed me because they hate lefties, obviously. And then they reported me when they saw something they thought they could get away with reporting me on, and I got banned, and they mocked me for it. So I gotta admit, I'm not especially sympathetic towards white nationalists who get banned off other social media platforms.
Okay, but Twitch banned you for, expressing what they view as a right-wing view, though. They banned you because they don't like criticism of Israel because, in their view, it leads to white nationalist conclusions, right? I
mean, you're saying this like I think there's a problem with discriminating against white nationalists.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it's just interesting that you tend to coincide so much with what liberal corporations believe in. It's just interesting.
Sure. Like liberals, I also believe in like egalitarianism. Like, sure, leftism is an expansion upon like Enlightenment values. It's not like a replacement of them.
Yeah, all I'm saying there is I think that on the practical level, they're just going to co-opt the far left. Quote unquote.
That is no, I disagree with that. Nothing that I do like bolsters the power of corporation. I mean, you could make the argument that by streaming on YouTube, I'm giving them money from like my but that's like a very small drop in the bucket. No, I don't think I bolster like liberal capitalist corporations in any way, shape, or form. I only use the tools available to me in the situations that I find myself within to achieve the ends I would like to achieve.
You're the most animated against the Nazis, aren't you?
Yeah, you people are like the worst. You're the worst people.
The corporate America loves that though, so maybe they have a use to keep you around.
Sure. sure. I mean, liberals also can oppose Nazism. I know they don't do it effectively, but not as well as I could, like argument-wise. But just because corporations benefit from anti-fascism existing doesn't mean that capitalism isn't still grinding its way, antagonism after antagonism, to a collapse globally. Like, I don't believe, like, do you think that we're like the fuel that will keep capitalism going? That's very weird. I've never heard that before.
No, I don't think anarchists are that relevant ultimately.
So if we were more relevant, you think we would just be a bunch of stooges to the capitalist elite?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I mean, all right.
In fairness, I think nationalists play that role in many instances. But
which kind of nationalists? The real kind or the fake kind?
I'm not sure. The real kind, from my point of view, is people who think like me.
Okay, yeah, okay, so the fake kind, yeah, white nationalist. Okay, I can't let you have that because this is part of how fascists like corrupt discourse. You conflate white nationalism with nationalism, so then when people accuse you of being racist, you can say, no, I'm just a nationalist. It's a way of lying to promote your interests. It's like a soft form of dog whistling. So I have to press you.
90%. Okay, fine, but 90% of the context nationalist is used in is like explicit, like racialist. They don't say nationalist when they refer to George Bush.
Well, no, they do. I know. I don't know if you remember, but like just 10 or 15 years ago, right? Just 10 or 15 years ago, like the neocon establishment, which while still being very racist, was not white nationalist, was constantly referred to as being nationalist. I remember constant arguments on lefty forums back in the early aughts about how George Bush was like a disgusting nationalist, and this was in libertarian forums because back then I was of that mindset. But no, it had no racial connotation back then. I can't let you have that definition. Listen, wait, hold on, listen. Okay. You and I are both utilitarians in our framework, okay? We want to make the world like a better place, broadly speaking. You think that like
I'm also a moral nihilist and relativist though. So
yeah, okay. I mean, well, what do you mean? Okay, there are a lot of ways I could interpret that. Is there like a particular like philosopher you stand behind, or like broadly could you extrapolate on your views?
Stirner, probably.
Okay, all right. No! Don't steal Stirner from us. Listen up, you fucks in chat. When I see you posting Stirner memes, now I won't know if you're a Nazi or a far fucking radical anarchist, okay?
Hey, the whole point behind Stirner is he's so nonsensical he can be applied to any worldview just about. So he's the Ego in Its Own is a great read, by the way. I
know. All right. This is probably the most civil conversation I've ever had with a fucking Nazi. Okay, wait.
It sounds like you're ending it. Before you go, please ask about brain sizes. Please, he said some shit like Eskimos have bigger brains, but they're stupid. Just please.
Okay, that was just a shorthand.
Okay.
That was a shorthand thing. I don't think Eskimos are stupid. But the previous guy said that there was like an absolute. Let me set the stage for that.
Well, I can't talk to both of you. Hyena. I'm not facilitating a fucking argument on something I didn't see personally. She's giving me the finger. All right. Would you like to expound upon the accusations of my girlfriend? Tell her she's a fucking idiot.
Let me just set the stage.
She's not white either.
Okay. Other guy, I don't want to control other people's sexuality. I just want to exclude them. Okay, so the other guy said that there's an absolute hierarchy by race for IQ, and I said that's not true because our brain size and IQ, there was an absolute racial hierarchy with Asians are the smartest and they also have the biggest brains and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, well, that's mostly true, but it's not entirely true because Eskimos are, I think, around 96 and they have a very big brain because they're out in that kind of undefined terrain covered in all the snow, so they need
it has to be bigger to keep in the warmth.
Bigger brains for spatial ability so they can navigate. That's
no, it's to keep in the warmth. The bigger the brain, the easier it is to keep heat in the center.
Yeah, but I guess that was the I read some pop science article on that. And I found that interesting. But
I have one question before we wrap things up, I guess.
Sure.
Okay, so you said you don't want to like discourage different sexual orientations. You want to exclude them. Do you not think that excluding them is a way of discouraging them?
Well, when I said exclude, what I meant is preclude the possibility entirely. So I don't like race mixing, but I don't want to go around policing it either. So that's why you're not allowed into the ethno state, right?
Right, but what about like gay people? What about them? Because that's not like an environmental thing.
I mean, they're between like 3 and 4% or 3 and 6% of any population, regardless, right?
Yeah, because they just exist. Do you like want to kick them out or?
No.
All right. How do you feel about trans people?
I think gender dysphoria is a real thing.
All right. If we ended it there, that's probably the closest we would get to agreeing. All right. Thank you very much for the conversation, buddy. Do you want to hit up the chat with the final meme? Do you have like a channel you want to shout out or?
I go by Gusty Chan on Twitter. Follow me if you want or not, or harass me. Do targeted harassment on me. Report my account.
Can I actually ask for a favor from you before you go?
Sure.
Would you mind saying trans rights?
Trans rights.
We got him. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciated the conversation.
Your mom's box.
We did it. We did it. Go team. Okay. All right. Wait, hold up. Listen, I treat this like practice. Okay. I need criticism or affirmation. Okay. Those two debates were like the two opposite ends of the spectrum. Okay. Because the first guy was incredibly stupid and was all feelings and nothing he said could be substantiated. And I think I pinned the second guy down on pretty much everything too, but I did it in a different rhetorical style. So how did you all feel? How do we feel? That first guy was high as fucking balls. That was the first time I've ever had to debate with like the full like race realist science thing. Yeah, more on-hand counter sources and papers. Yes, I 100% agree. One of these days, I know I'm going to end up debating the alternative hypothesis, alt-hype, who is like the intelligentsia of Nazism. And he has a whole, like, he has like a 100-page fucking Google document of shit, of like argument after argument after argument in favor of black people being stupid. Kept saying consensus instead of citing papers. Yeah, because I don't... Because I didn't have any fucking papers ready. Oh god, yeah, I'll do more. But I'm a sociology major, and I know that in terms of like sociological arguments, I can win them like any day, against fascists. But in terms of like the biology stuff, I have to like concede. I have to rely on. I have to rely on like consensus data. Okay, let me read out the fucking donations, and then hey, in YouTube, I've got room in my brain for another. Okay, I've got room in my brain for another. Do we want to do another? Tom. Tom.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
I'm doing wonderfully. Do you like the guitar, or is that just sort of an emblematic, just a little like signify a little badge?
Emblematic? What are you trying to say?
Emblematic? Am I using that word incorrectly?
No, you aren't using it correctly.
Emblematic.
And now, are you mad because I have more, musical skill than you?
Serving as a symbol of a particular quality or concept, symbolic. No, I was using that correctly. Because I said
I
emblematic.
didn't say you were using it correctly.
Yeah, okay.
It
Just
just sounded like you mispronounced it.
Yeah, I do that sometimes after like nearly 5 hours of streaming. It's due to happen. Okay, so I can tell we're in for an antagonistic discussion. Hit me up, motherfucker. What are we here for? What do you got going on?
No, you're antagonistic.
Well, not to you
I've
yet.
seen your conversations.
Yeah, but not to you yet. I've actually had pretty civil conversations with people in the past. It's happened. I talked with my dad earlier today. It was pretty nice.
Now you still have a cohesive relationship with your father. With
Yes,
the views you do.
I have an extremely healthy family.
Racial miscegenation, race mixing.
Well, both of my parents are white, so they didn't have to do any of that to make me.
Gender is bimodal and gender isn't biological.
I mean,
is your dad some raven leftist?
I'm not entirely sure. Or you're saying facts, but the tone of voice makes it sound like you think they're stupid.
I'm saying facts. You think gender is bimodal?
No, I say sex is bimodal. Gender is a social construct.
Wait.
I see.
So you're an anti-realist.
I got it. I can see what kind of discussion we're in here for. All right, yeah.
You're an anti-realist.
In what respect?
In the material matter that gender is not socially constructed. That is a biological characteristic of sex.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you're an anti-realist.
It does.
Okay. So here's a question for you. Do you think that sports teams are like a biological thing, or do you think that they're like a social construct?
Like that's such a nuanced.
Vague... No, it's not. We made them. We made sports teams. We didn't dig them up. And so acknowledging the fact that sports teams are something we socially constructed doesn't make you an anti-realist. In the same way, acknowledging that gender is something we socially constructed, which derives from biological influence, that doesn't mean that we're anti-realist.
So are you telling me that the legal definition of gender, the ones that you put out that we have to call mentally ill trannies, he or she, is not a legal construction?
I mean, are you mad that academic consensus disagrees with you? Are you like frustrated that the world is changing quickly and you can't keep up with it?
Oh no, we're coming back, mate. We're coming back.
You're really not.
We are coming back, mate.
You're really,
Did you see
really
Robert
not.
Bowers?
This is not the first time we've had a little resurgence.
Did you see Charlottesville?
Yeah.
We're coming back,
wait. Charlottesville? You mean the national embarrassment that led to international condemnation of the movements associated with Charlottesville? Charlottesville, where everyone involved was a fucking embarrassment afterwards, who had to apologize for the events of the movement.
And who died?
The Tiki Torch. One lady died because she was hit by a car. Oh, you're right. I forgot. White nationalism is coming back, boys. Someone got hit with the car. We did it. Academia is going to bow down to our biased perspective soon.
I think the Goyim are waking up there, mate. I think the Goyim are waking up.
Okay, so did you actually have something you want to talk about, or did you just want to rage impotently against academic consensus?
How am I raging impotently?
I mean, you're whining like a bitch because you disagree with what people believe in.
How can you gauge that?
I have inductively reasoned it. I have inductively reasoned that you are crying right now. You're doing a good job. There's nothing funny about how stupid you are. Is there a particular issue you'd like to talk about?
Oh, yeah, right. You're such a highly intellectual being that believes that gender is some sort of social construction.
Again, you're saying things that are true, but the tone of voice indicates you don't think they're true, which might be your problem and your fault.
It's not true.
Okay, so do you want to talk about this then? Is there a
I don't. I would just point out the fact that you...
So you just came on here to complain? There's no real issue? There's no real issue you wanted to talk about? You just wanted to say lies and leave?
You're talking about that French woman. She was a communist, okay?
Who?
The French woman that made out that gender was a social construct who made trannies become acceptable, like transgenderism acceptable in reality. It's not acceptable. Okay. What did we used to do with trannies in the 1930s and 1940s?
I don't particularly care.
We sent them to a psychiatric institution.
I mean, you know what we did to your people back in the 1930s and 40s, right?
Excuse me?
We firebombed the shit out of them, slaughtered them, put them through the Nuremberg trials, and hoped the world would remember.
Yeah,
it's sad to say that a lot of people didn't remember. But
where you went into the rooms and
listen, I know this
tortured
this
I
is
mean, you
very.
killed-
I know that you may
killed
think that
Julius
this like
Streicher.
edgy,
I mean, for
this
God's sake, you
edgy
killed
like
Julius
4chan
Streicher,
posting.
a guy who made propaganda.
Buddy,
Uh,
my good friend. While it is fun for me to argue with people like you, we need to take turns talking. So you came on here not to discuss an issue, but to like edgy 8chan
I am discussing
post.
an issue.
No, you're not. You're jumping around wildly because you have this moral repulsion to how the world is today, but you have no facts to back it up. It's just your feelings. So if you'd like to discuss a specific issue, we can, but otherwise, like, you're just wasting my time.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question here. I was watching, you said your reply video to Red Ice TV, Lana, where she said that, there's 57 genders, and then you said that was a mischaracterization, or some hyperinflation, or some right-wing diatribe. So how many genders do you think there are? Is it affinity?
No.
Is it ad infinitum?
It's we can create more or reduce the ones we have.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's a social construct. That's how it works.
Legal construct.
Gender is, in some respects, a legal construct as well, but that legal construct is ascribed to a series of social conditions that existed beforehand.
So because you theorized it in your head now, that is now...
No, we can engage with academia. I've actually spent literally years engaging with the research surrounding this issue. So you may feel very strongly about it, but you will never win an actual debate.
What are you talking about?
On the issue of gender, sex, and modern gender theory. You will literally never win a discussion on this.
You've already been destroyed.
Okay. So
Jordan Peterson.
Yes. Jordan Peterson, renowned gender theorist. No. This edgy 4chan posting doesn't impress me. Do you think that you're going to like find a word or a series of words you can say that will offend me and I'll start crying and whining? Because this to me just comes off. This reminds me of how I was at 15 or 16.
What would happen in real life, Vosh? Why didn't you go to Charlottesville?
What?
Why didn't you go to Charlottesville? If you're so anti-fascistic, why didn't you go to Charlottesville?
Why would I? I don't know. Why aren't you stabbing Jewish people right now?
Because I love my life, and I would only do that on the conditions if there was a military that would enforce.
Sure. Well, I decided back in
and it was ready.
Mm-hmm. Back during Charlottesville, I decided that I could
take back our country from the filth, the postmodernism.
Yeah. Okay. The long sentences and the buzzwords don't really make you sound more cogent in your point making. So just as well as I.
Have you heard you?
Listen, I can. If you are just going to talk without letting me talk, I could just kick you. Do you actually want to talk? Because you still haven't just said like an issue you want to talk about. Is your question how can you hate? Is your question how can you hate fascism if you weren't at Charlottesville? Because that does not make you look very good. That makes you look very dumb. Posing that as a serious question.
You're the one making multiple videos, vehemently enthused about hating fascism.
Yeah,
but you do nothing about it.
I'm sorry if they triggered you, dude. Do you want me to calm it down the next one? Maybe go softer on the rhetoric.
No, I
don't
want
get
you
upset?
to put it into practice.
Why? Wait, I am.
I want you to stop being a social recluse.
Speech is action.
LARPing.
I don't LARP anything. I have said every time a topic of the revolution comes up, I have said the truth, that I am lazy and out of shape and cowardly, and that I don't want to participate into it. I am, however, a pretty good rhetorician, so I speak, and that is what is important.
You're huge.
Okay. Yeah, I am huge.
Right.
Yeah.
All you do is grab a bat.
Yeah.
We go 1-on-1 and see who wins, but you're not going to come out the top.
Wait, are you unironically like IRL? Hey, meet me IRL. Fucking fight me in real life, not online, motherfucker. See what the fuck? Are you actually like 15 or 16? This would be really embarrassing if you were a legal adult. Wait, how old are you? Hello? He's deafened himself.
You can't even leave the voice chat? What are you doing?
Do you think this is his like protest?
He's cold shouldering you, dude.
Oh shit, I'm getting cold.
This is a Chad move, dude.
Yeah.
Yo.
If only cold shouldering worked when I can just remove them. All right. That's about the least productive discussion I've ever had in my life. Nighog Nagar? There's a decent chance of you being right-leaning just based off that name, but I could be judgmental.
Hold on. Wait a second.
Oh,
Wait a
They just
second here.
changed it.
I got I have your stream on.
gotcha,
Give me a
gotcha.
second to get my goddamn heart rate down.
No worries.
Yeah. So,
Are you right leaning?
yes, I am.
All right. How you doing, comrade?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing wonderfully. I'm so far today. I feel in my heart of hearts. Okay, I feel like I'm 2.5 for 2.5 because that last one that didn't get me right in the heart. That wasn't here. I didn't get anything from that.
All right. Well, listen. Like those other guys, I'm not just gonna sit here and troll you because I don't think those people even really believe anything. But you know, I have I disagree on you with some stuff. I think I'm pretty moderate. Um, and I just kind of wanted to talk about incels, and you know, this is going to be a right-leaning topic because it has to do with race and incels. I don't think you necessarily address
The race pill.
Yeah, I think it's pretty dire for a lot of young men, especially Asians. You know, like all the other like what would be considered undesirable races for like production and so forth. So look at me, I'm saying all these big words, but
Well, no, those are all legitimate big words, and I don't disagree with you. You know, I really don't.
you know,
No, not at all. Yeah, but I would attribute it to like Western beauty standards.
oh,
There are a ton of examples that I could point to of like nations around the world having very disparate, very unique beauty standards, and then when the West colonized them, whether that be like the English imperialism or what have you, or whether it be a more economic colonization like what happened in Russia, that following those developments, there's been a trend towards the idealization of very like Anglo-Saxon beauty tendencies in regards to facial structure and skin color and what have you. So I would argue that this is a product of cultural imperialism or racialized cultural imperialism, and that a solution would be the constant and genuine reaffirmation that people, no matter their race, are beautiful.
okay. So I want to believe you, right?
Oh no.
Because that makes a lot of sense. You know, you just it's like it's not a systemic thing. It's nothing. It's not unfair. There's no such thing as something that's like unfair. You can, and I'm not like hold on, I should probably phrase this differently, not be so like confrontational.
Well, I do think it's unfair. I care very much about the incel shit. I'm not just LARPing when I say that.
Well, hold on, because usually when you, I hate being this guy, but like usually when you cut someone off, like you make like really good points, and they're not necessarily like articulate enough to like combat that. So like I'm just gonna state right now that I believe that we don't really have any concrete information on whether or not it's factually like there's actual like facial structures that are more preferable, but like from what I understand that there is human beings notice certain symmetries among their faces, and that is like pleasing for us in some sort of unexplained like a way that I can't explain necessarily, but like for instance perhaps like big lips like percentage wise, and like you know nose width and all this stuff that people will like completely contort their faces to fit these standards. And I think it does suck, but you have to also like you can't like say like you know for a fact that this is like a standard that somebody has produced.
Well,
I wouldn't say that I know for a fact that it's either way, but I'd say that like if you take even if it was a standard, I mean like come on now, if you look at the statistics in these like dating apps and all this sorts of stuff, like almost in every perceivable like measure that you can actually take from these places, that they say like, okay, if you're Asian, you get like what, like 1% matches. Like if you're like a relatively attractive guy, like what the fuck is that?
yeah, okay. So I feel like I may have talked past you a little bit here. I'm not saying that like individuals have like the like a set presupposition as to what they believe ideal facial features to be. What I'm saying is that, and what I'm about to say is factually true. Beauty standards are a product of culture. So cultural attitudes towards beauty. Now, there do seem to be some things that are pretty consistent. I think you can make an argument that facial symmetry might be, for human beings, an objective standard of beauty. Like for the most part, we seem to prefer symmetry in almost all respects when it comes to people's bodily alignment. This might be because that humans, like a lot of mammals, are themselves perfectly symmetrical laterally, so it makes sense that we would like see those characteristics and idealize them. I can concede to that. However, when it comes to racialized characteristics, all evidence seems to suggest that before the imposition of Western beauty standards onto the rest of the world, people in Africa thought that the height of beauty was like the very symmetrical, very fit, like African man and woman. That they thought the big lips, the wide nose, the kinky hair, and all of that, like that these were ideally beautiful characteristics. And they would make fun of, and there are historical documents of this, there are historical documents of them making fun of the comparatively gangly, pasty, red-faced, bloated Europeans who would come to these glorious, fit, like rugged, like plains warriors of Africa. And the same can be found in India. The same can be found in Asia. And it seems like in all of these cultures, it is a fetishization of the Western beauty standard that has led to this relative disparation, this inequality, this divide, this unfair supposition of beauty standards. So my argument would be that there really isn't evidence supporting the idea that there being an inherently more pretty race. There isn't really evidence supporting that. But there is evidence supporting the idea that culture has influenced people's presuppositions, and what's more, that imperialist culture has gone a long way towards affecting other people's perception of people of color. And I would say that the elimination of race as a social construct would go a long way towards addressing this issue. Naturally.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right on a lot of points there. But honestly, I mean, and I would agree that different cultures, like tribal communities, Bantu cultures, have like the plates in their lips or whatever, or I don't know what particular tribe that's from. Japanese, beauty standards always change, like when you're talking about like not conceptually, but like cosmetically. There are things that people will do and that will be considered beautiful. But I'm not going to sit here and say that and believe that like, oh, well, darker skin would be like if all black people were like the conquerors of these areas, then like everybody would want to be black. Or you see even in Indian countries and like Asian countries, they have like these skin whitening agents on them that turn their skin more white and fair.
Yeah, but these things didn't exist until after the imposition of Western beauty standards.
Absolutely. Until you could also make an argument that until they knew that these other people existed and saw them, they tried to turn their faces. I mean, this is literally what they're doing here. They're going and like changing their nose structure, their face structure to look more like white people, and it's actually quite bizarre when you look into it. And I would just say to every person out there, like, even if you may be another race and like you believe that you're ugly, I know like you're trying to tell everybody like, oh, it's not going to matter, and that's very convenient for you because you're white yourself. You directly would benefit from this sort of thing. But for these other people, just like understand that there's other stuff that you can do, and it is true that like you're going to have a much more difficult time in this sort of like day and age finding a partner than our big boy Vosh over here. And I think it's kind of disingenuous to tell these people that, oh, well, they wouldn't have had this stuff until we got to this point, because of course they wouldn't, because they wouldn't have seen these people in the fucking first place.
Well, yeah, I've just never seen any historical evidence to indicate, like, for instance, Imperial China was aware of the existence of white people, white traders, for literally like a millennia. And they still had their very specific cultural beauty standards. It wasn't until after the Opium Wars, when they got colonized and their wealth was misappropriated, and they started having access to like Western imperialist goods being brought about by the empires of their colonizers. It was only after that point that their attitudes towards beauty started to change. I just don't see any evidence to suggest that like,
I know you don't
like
see
they
any
saw white people and then they were like, oh my god, it's the ideal race.
Relax. Okay, so what I'm saying
Wait. I think I was being pretty calm there. You seem
No,
very
I'm saying,
insistent
no,
on
I'm
the.
saying,
You
no,
seem
I'm saying
insistent.
relax because usually in your conversations, you'll tell someone, I don't see any evidence at all. It's like, of course you don't, because there isn't any evidence. I don't have any evidence for why it would be. All I'm saying is that there is an idea out there, and it's actually substantiated by like quote unquote facts, meaning that like what we're seeing is that people. I mean, sorry, I'm sorry for speaking loud. Um, what we're seeing is that like I've already said is that these Asian people and like pretty much anyone who's non-white, it's we already see like pretty much anyone who's non-white is getting the swipes and
Yeah, no,
like the
but I
yeah.
agree. I
So
agree with that. But you have no evidence for the idea that this is because white people are inherently more beautiful. But I do have mountains of
no,
historical and anthropological evidence to the
you
contrary.
don't have mountains of it if it's
I do. I
historical and
promise you that.
anthropological.
I promise you, the imperialism
Why do you
of
say
Western
things
beauty
like this?
standards are a very well documented study. I would encourage you to look it up because you seem very insistent on framing this as white people being
No,
intrinsically
no,
more beautiful, and I think that's a very
no.
defeatist attitude. There are cultural ways of
Saying
addressing this.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you can like you could possibly make yourself look more beautiful, but like I already stated like the facial structure and all that. Anybody can be strong and like improve their physical strength and their how their body looks. But I'm saying that like the facial characteristics that everybody around the world kind of changes. Don't you think it's a little strange that everybody around the world makes their face look like other white people?
No,
Don't you think that's a little
considering that globally speaking, white people are the ones who dominate global culture, and we
Well,
push
of
the beauty
course.
standards the
Then
rest of the
why
world
would
consumes.
then if they were beautiful and saw the beauty within each other, why would it be so drastic that they wouldn't just like make themselves look more beautiful and like everybody tried to look like their own race? But it seems like it's almost the opposite.
Yeah, no,
Um,
because global culture is a powerful thing. When you have
how could you
movies, well,
prove
hold
that
on. If you're
global
consuming
culture could
movies
do
and
this?
TV shows and books and comic books and serialized like issues of magazines that are constantly representing white people as being the endemic ideal of physical beauty, yeah, if you want to push into those industries, if you want to get into modeling, into acting, into anything that has a public face, news journalism or casting or
We're
anchoring,
talking
well,
about
hold on, wait,
objective
hold on.
beauty here.
If
We're
you
talking
have to
about
do these
you're not
things,
talking about
well,
the same
buddy,
thing as I
please
am.
wait, please hold on. If you want to get into these fields, you need to appeal to those standards. And that means that within 10, 20 years, every single major like public facing outlet within a given country is going to be manned and faced by people who are holding true to imperialist beauty standards that idealize white features. And at that point, if literally everything in your culture is idealizing these characteristics, why wouldn't people go for face whitening or like
You're
skin whitening
right.
surgery?
That makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. And when I first heard that, I was like, wow, that's, well, I guess, there's no problem here. But the thing is that we're talking about objective beauty. So this is a different thing from, like you can subjectively change somebody's beauty standards throughout their lives because just like it's going to be completely subjective. But you even said yourself in this call that it wasn't subjective comparing to the face. Now I'm saying that like physically,
No,
like
no, I
you
said
can
with
have
symmetry, not in regards
yeah,
to the
facial
face.
symmetry. Yeah,
Yeah.
and white people tend to have the closest
No,
symmetry
wait, wait,
among
wait,
like
wait, 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 wait. No. What? White people have more naturally symmetrical facial features?
no. I'm sorry. That's my fault. I'm talking about like the phenotypes and specifics. They're
What?
more common in white people
Wait, wait, wait,
than
wait.
in
What
other
is more
races.
symmetrical in white people?
The slender noses and faces, it's more
But that's not.
symmetrical.
Wait, no, no, no. That has nothing to do with symmetry. You can have a symmetrical wide nose or a narrow
Oh,
nose.
yeah, but I'm talking about like for instance, African people, and I think all people are beautiful in their own way, but it's more metaphysical than that. So what I'm talking about is like they were designed to have like more flattened
They weren't
faces, not
designed.
flattened
They
faces.
just have them.
They just have for more what's it called? What's that word? Fuck. Uh, it has something to do with like facial space or something. Spatial.
But none of it has
It slipped
anything
my
to do
mind.
with lateral symmetry, which is what I was referring to.
Yeah, it does though. When you have like thicker lips instead of thinner ones, it's actually it's less symmetrical because there's like I think it has something to do with like if your lips are big and your eyes are going to be smaller than your lips, it stands out. It looks it looks
That has
bizarre.
nothing to do with lateral symmetry. All humans are equally symmetrical laterally.
Well,
That's what I was referring to.
I may not be using the correct technical terms here, and you're actually much more learned in this and pretty much everything. But I'm talking about like the actual specific structure of like the nose.
I have
and the
never
mouth
in
and
my
all that
life
stuff.
seen any like philosophical, like a convincing philosophical argument for one
I'm
race
talking
being.
about.
Well, no, you
I'm
are.
not talking about.
No. Beauty and aesthetics are philosophical subjects. I have never seen an argument that one race has inherently more like objectively beautiful features than any other. Even the fucking
genetic? Would you call like genetics philosophical? Like if it was already predetermined?
no, wait.
And it was like,
No, hold on. Wait.
that's
You
what
just engaged in a really bad conflation. Genetics are not philosophical. What is and is not beautiful is.
Did I say genetic? I'm sorry. I meant the other. I meant that if it was predetermined by your genetics and you sensing these genetics as being preferable, would that be philosophical or would that just be a product of like the genetic code?
There's no such
or-
thing.
or
There's no
whatever
like
it'd be like?
inherent sensory understanding as to what constitutes beauty. It's a
All right.
cultural
I
thing.
mean, if you say so, that's fine.
But
I mean, I
but
guess
the
I don't have any like
assertion-
extremely.
Like there are
I
some
just
like
wanted-
well you can make some arguments. You can make the argument that like we naturally find like physically fit people more attractive because that like coincides with our biological desire to reproduce with a healthy mate. However, there are plenty of examples that can be found back in say medieval Europe where the chubby, pasty landed gentry were considered to be the most beautiful because their weight and their pasty skin were an indication that they didn't have to work, meaning that they were more wealthy, meaning that they would probably provide like higher security for children.
I don't know about that, man. I think that this is just something that society has made. And how would you argue against that, right? Like I feel like society.
There are
is
no
making,
arguments against what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course. So
Well, no, there aren't. Can you provide an objective argument for beauty as it applies to race?
no, I'm not making like an objective argument for beauty. I'm just saying there's an objective beauty.
Yeah,
to, like,
yeah. Can you? What is objective
race-
beauty? How do you
race-
determine that?
You said that there was an objective beauty to faces already.
Yes, I agree. I conceded it might be possible that lateral symmetry might be one such characteristic, but lateral symmetry isn't weighted on a racial basis, and it's not a cultural thing either. All
Why
human
is it
beings.
not rated on a racial basis?
Because different races don't have different levels of. Wait, please, wait. Like, go find like a fucking image of like a black or a white person looking face forward, and then like models. Okay, so they're very pretty, and then go to Photoshop and cut their face in half, and then mirror it, so you have a mirrored version of the face. That's what I mean by lateral symmetry. And there is no like. Wait, what? Like different races have different levels of lateral.
I'm talking about like relax. You're not actually having a brain hemorrhage.
No, I'm not. I'm very confused by what you're saying, though. Are you referring to facial balance, like the weight of the nose and lips against the eyes and the ears and stuff?
Yeah, it looked sometimes like, for instance, if your eyes were like 5 inches, like if you said big ass eyes and you had like a really long nose, it would be considered odd, right?
Yes.
It wouldn't be considered beautiful,
That doesn't
right?
mean
if
it's
you had a
objective.
12-inch nose,
That doesn't
so
mean
like
it's
that's all
objective.
I'm saying.
Well, wait, no. There's a huge difference between
All right,
the
then I
claims.
win.
No,
Then I
this
win.
is the Mott and Bailey. You realize this? Your initial claims
don't
were
know
that
what that
some races are inherently more beautiful than others, and that different races have different levels of lateral racial symmetry. And what you have now backed up to is you win because somebody with a foot-long nose would be considered weird looking. I don't think
But
that
no,
defends the
no.
arguments to the same
Relax.
extent you think it does.
No, for instance, say if you had, perhaps very big lips or a really big nose, and those are ingredients. I'm talking about like if you have like comparable, if you have comparable size like areas of your face, then it all that. Did you ever see that study?
Wait, you mean your lips are the same size as your eyes, which is the same size as your nose? Like they're all just dots of different shapes on your face? What do you mean?
No. Did you ever see that study with Amber Heard and stuff?
No.
Pretty much, it wasn't really a study, but they were saying that this person, Amber Heard, she's some sort of actress or something. full face for whatever reason. And at the time, I didn't understand what they had meant. But I mean, I'm not really like, I don't really know what I'm talking about by a whole lot. Like many of the people who argue against you, and that's why I actually watch you because you do know what you're talking about. But from what I understand here is that she had like eyes that were like, I don't have like the correct diction, but like they were all like symmetrical in that they were like the same size to a rough degree. Like her lips weren't like 7 inches wide or like, and her eyes weren't like super big, and her nose wasn't super big. So it all depends on like the individual phenotypes like coming together to create a face that like where everything, like there isn't anything that's like out of place.
Okay, again, all of this is culturally determined and has nothing to do with objectivity.
Well, if you say it's culturally determined, then I'll agree with you, all right?
Yeah, but that means it's not objective.
Right.
Yeah, and I still don't know what you mean by like the race, like one race is inherently more beautiful than another.
Okay.
Like, here's my
saying...
wait. Are you white?
Yes.
Okay, you came into this. Your initial like point was that some people get fucked over in the dating marketplace because they're not white, and like it's like if you're Asian or Southeast Asian or Indian or whatever, like you get fucked over, right?
You should know just as well as me that I like to stick up for the little guys. I like to stick up for the minorities.
Okay,
because,
yeah, wait, you do realize that I care about this, right? Like,
you don't.
Wait, whoa, wait, I don't care about racism affecting people's success in dating?
Yeah, I don't think you do, because I think that you are white, just like me, and we actually benefit from the pool being smaller. And yeah. Hey, listen, I couldn't talk about this if I want. I just be getting all, I'm talking to you while playing EverQuest. I don't fucking get laid, but I'm saying that generally speaking, if you think about it, like in almost all aspects of life,
am I not against racism?
Matter. It's not just.
Am I not against racism at all because I'm white? Am I not a feminist because I'm a man? Am I not for trans rights because I'm cisgender? What the fuck do you mean?
I may have jumped the gun, but I just kind of feel like, you're like a generally good-looking guy, and you kind of waved off the incels. And there's
wait. No, I didn't. I have spent literally like 7 or 8 hours on stream extensively discussing the legitimacy of the incel problem and my ideas on how to solve it. I have never waved off incels.
Okay, so when you were talking to that guy and you were telling him, some guy came into your, I think it was a while ago, some guy came into your call and he was like super upset. I don't know. He was probably a young
Stone
kid.
Zebra. I think you're referring to Stone Zebra.
Yeah, that guy, I feel like you just kind of like mind warped him. Like he had all this life and energy, and he didn't know how to like communicate what he was trying to say. And I think what he was trying to say was that it's unfair, so much to the point that there has to be something done outside of just like self-help, like 12.
But I say that half of my streams have been on the social reasons why inceldom is a problem.
No, I don't know, and you did, absolutely. This is so crazy. You did, and then you just totally walk back and be like, oh yeah, if you clean your room. The reason why people laugh at the Jordan Peterson motherfucker is because he just says shit like, your room. Okay,
wait. So wait, do you think it is irreconcilable for me to say that there are systemic problems that make inceldom like an issue? However, here is some personal advice that might be helpful to some of you. Do you think that like these are two contradictory positions? Yeah, because that's what I believe. Like,
sorry about that. I was trying to change to push to talk.
No worries. Here's my position. Society sucks, and we do what we can to fix it. However, there are probably some individual steps that a person who identifies as an incel can take to make their lives a little better. Since that stream, I have gotten, no joke, dozens of messages and emails from people saying that they personally needed to hear that advice. Now, I know that's anecdotal. And not good data, but I do think it is something of a testament to the fact that people who are lonely did enjoy or maybe got something out of me giving personal advice.
Vouch, when Destiny says that shit like, oh, I talked to all these alt-right motherfuckers, and like people have told me personally in my chat and in my emails that it helps them. Like, that is bullshit, man. Like, of course, yeah, maybe like one or two guys, but like I'm talking about the true cells out there, not that little bitch that you had on your thing, but like the true cells.
Wait, that little bitch?
Anything.
It sounds like you're the one who doesn't care about the incel problem.
Oh, because that guy's probably just like some normie. I don't want to
see. Well, I don't support this gatekeeping, comrade. I think that if you're having problems with loneliness and call yourself an incel, that you deserve help, and we should help everyone. What is this weird gatekeeping
Dude,
shit?
Stop that. That sounds like disingenuous. Like
no, it's not.
Shit.
It's super fucking genuous. I'm very genuine right now. Are you like a true cell? Wait, do you consider yourself a true cell?
That piss me off right now.
Wait, do you consider yourself a true cell?
Listen, I would not be so fucking ignorant to call myself a true cell on this stream. There are actually people out there, and you're gonna probably fucking laugh because you're a despicable motherfucker from what you just said right there. You do not understand. There are people out there who actually have no hope. And
you realize I have read the Brain Cells subreddit front to back every day for months. It is a strange, twisted form of entertainment for me. I know that some people are beyond help.
I know it's entertainment for you.
The fact that there are some people beyond help does not mean I can't help people who aren't beyond help. You're making some very irrational statements right now.
You know what?
Like, it sounds to me like you just want to wallow. Like you just want to believe there's no hope and nothing can be done and everything's miserable. And anyone who tries to pull you out of that is a traitor and is a piece of shit because they're not recognizing the severity of your problems.
Do you want to read my palm? Do you want to read my palm next? Because it sounds like you're trying to like psychoanalyze.
You literally accused me of not caring about this because I'm white. I don't want to hear you complaining about my extrapolations from your behavior.
Dude, I didn't accuse that. I just said that was a probability. It's kind of like when Destiny does the same thing.
Okay, sorry. I believe there's a high probability that you're just mad and you want to wallow in your own self-pity and don't actually want to hear people trying to help because you feel as though it minimizes the experiences you've had. There we go. I think that's a high probability. Have I phrased that in a way that doesn't trigger you?
Listen, I'm just sticking up for the guys who are true cells who actually have problems, and you're telling them that if they read 12 rules to life or 12 other motherfuckers.
Never said that.
Then their lives are going to be better.
Nope, never said that. I literally just said there are some people who are. I literally just said there are some people who are beyond help. Do you have hearing problems, buddy? You're making a very irrational argument right now.
How do you solve the systemic problems then? Can you just not?
Well, hold on. Whoa. I'm not letting you jump ship on your dumb arguments that easily.
Okay. Let me actually address that. You're right. Actually, I forgot. Wait, what was the? Can you just reaffirm what you just said?
Are you high?
All right.
I've dealt with a high fucking Nazi 3 hours ago, okay? So I'm on the defensive with the fucking weed. With the weed smokers.
You don't like weed?
What? No, I smoke weed. But I don't smoke weed and then debate politics online. Maybe I should. Would you all... Wait, in chat, would you all like that? Yeah, they would. Of course they would.
What are the systemic problems? You agreed there were systemic problems, but you never really went into like how we could go about that other than like personal help. Like maybe, and you even said that capitalism was a problem with this, which I agree with, but like if we're not gonna, like, what is the fucking thing? And you said that if we were all pansexuals then it would change. That's bullshit, man.
No, it would help a little bit. Wait, I don't want to wait, hold on. I don't want to jump away. I don't want to jump away too quickly. So I just want to address something you just said. I just want to address something you just said, because I want us to both be accountable for the things that we say. So I earlier said there are such things as true selves. There are people who are beyond help. And then, not a minute later, you said, so you believe that all the true selves could just pick up 12 rules for life and then their life would get better. That is the exact opposite of what I said. Why would you accuse me of saying something that was literally opposite to what I just said?
Right. If you believe there are true selves, and we can't quantify them, but there are true selves, I think that most true. Would you agree that that like height plays a big factor?
Yeah, oh yeah, if you're a man, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we got that. Relax. All right,
I acknowledge this many times in my stream.
Would you then agree that like there are certain races who have kind of different height profiles, and that a lot of these people are having a difficult time, and that's kind of why that's happening?
You mean like different racial groups are like taller or shorter on average?
Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I'm pretty sure that
So,
Hispanic people globally are a good bit shorter than white people. I think that it has more to do with malnutrition than
so
it
you
does.
have privilege.
Yes. I never said I don't. I'm privileged in many respects. I'm a very fortunate person.
A really good way to put it. And with that, I think I made my point.
What?
I
You
know
didn't
so
make
many
any
people.
points. You just got mad that
Whoa,
tried to
I
give
didn't get
advice to
mad.
non-true cell
Do I sound
incels
mad?
and then accused me of being privileged?
No, no.
I'm so confused.
Listen. I made my point.
What point? Wait,
You
what
agreed
point?
to
Just let me
everything
know.
I
I won't
said.
even argue against it. I just want to know what point you made. I'll agree
You're
with
not
whatever you say.
the one thing. I feel like Destiny would have completely BTFO'd me in like the first 5 minutes of this conversation. But I think you actually
Okay.
agree with me a lot of things, and I'll even list them off. You agreed with me about the facial symmetry being objective. Now, you didn't agree with me about it being, having anything to do with race or anything like
What
that.
was your
I
point?
ta- my point was that certain races have different, and it's like a. My point with the race symmetry, not the race symmetry, the facial symmetry thing was that different races have different percentages in like the actual like lips and nose and eyes and
Yeah, no,
ears
that's
and
pseudoscience. There's no
all
basis
right,
for
fair.
that. So
Okay,
that's not the
okay.
point you made. If the point you were trying to make was that different races have harder times, then yeah, no shit, I agreed with that in the first like couple sentences of this conversation. And then you accused me of not caring, but then you said that
Oh,
like
dude,
all
stop going back to
incels
that.
aren't
I
true
already
cells.
no. I didn't stop going back to that because you're trying to like you're trying to make it seem like I'm being too super unreasonable here when I'm
Well,
not.
yes, you've been
No.
incredibly irrational this entire conversation. Not
No,
just like
all I
disagreeing
said.
with me, you've been like objectively, like your statements haven't followed to the conclusion. You've made irrational arguments. I'm not mad
I
at
don't.
you. I'm not trying to like shit on you or whatever. I'm
But the
just
thing is
curious
that
as
I
to what
did
you're.
make rational arguments. I mean, don't. The thing is, you say this almost after like everybody comes on, and I see why you could say it for me in some respects, but like I did say that I did make a lot of good points, and I
Whoa.
think we can leave it here. And I love you. You can even say the cappuccino thing. I like
I'm
that.
not Destiny. That's Destiny's thing.
All right, well, do your own thing. I think I made my points. I think but we agree on a lot of
Wait,
stuff.
but what are the points
And I would
again?
talk to you about like the IQ stuff, but it's so fucking boring.
The
and-
IQ. God damn it! You're all Nazis. Wait, no, it's not boring. You're just wrong. Like, you were wrong on almost everything you said in this discussion. Listen, to everyone in my chat who is telling me to be nicer to this guy because he's clearly a sad fuck, this is what you get. Underneath that weird racialized pseudoscience, he was talking about certain races being more attractive than others, like, objectively. Underneath that, it's Nazis all the way down, like the fucking turtles. Don't ever tell me to be nice to people again, okay? I know, and I had a feeling. All right.
No, I don't think you understand where I'm coming from. You kind of like jumped the gun there, like before I even said anything. Like,
Please say something to make me think that you don't believe that like race.
I was gonna tell you that I'm not a Nazi. I was one of those Nazi guys. I wanted to talk to you about the IQ science because I think that there's a lot of very compelling studies, but
I'm not a Nazi. By the way, here's my evidence for race
Whoa.
and IQ being intrinsically.
I was saying that there are a lot of compelling studies. I've been trying to find one now, and this is kind of when I wanted to end it. I wanted to, probably talk to you some other time. There was a study about in Minnesota.
But I
where
still
what
don't
they
know
did-
what your points are.
Yeah, my point was going to be that I was going to get to it. That my point was going to be that when you take what people usually do is that they take individual studies between like race and IQ, between like blacks, whites, Asians, but they never really take the studies that have to do with race people.
I thought we
So
were
generally-
talking about incels. Why are we talking about Nazi racial theory now?
All right. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here.
What points did you make? You never told me.
I did make a lot of points. I made the point with the incels and incels not being able to there being true cells and most true cells being of not white, and you already agreed to that. And what else do you want me to say?
I don't know. A point? Like, I agreed with that.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I made these points, but I didn't actually. I mean, I guess we agree.
Yeah, I guess we agree. All right. Do you wait? Okay, so out of curiosity, really quickly, I have one quick question. Okay, so you care about all the Curry true cell brethren, right?
I care about all of my brothers because I find love through them. Really, I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you shit on like fake cells just a little bit ago.
Well, I hate fake cells because they discourage really the people who are suffering because they don't have the heart to actually like talk to women. Like the thing is that some of these guys, like they talk to women, you know, they don't have a chance to begin with. And you're laughing and you're like,
no,
oh,
no, no.
fuck,
Someone made a funny
look at
post.
me,
I'm not
I'm like
laughing. No, no, no. Somebody,
I'm 6'2".
come on. Somebody in chat. Somebody in chat made a
Nah,
joke.
fuck
Can't
you,
I
man.
laugh at chat? I'm still a chatter. I'm still a D.GG memer at heart. Okay.
You're essentially a Chad to me and like a lot of other guys. You know that, right?
I mean, I'm really, honestly, it's
You
all
are.
confidence. It's really confidence. I'm a fat dude. I'm 260 pounds. I don't work out anymore. It's really
All
just confidence. I'm lucky to be tall and have a deep voice, but beyond that, it's pretty much personality.
All right, man. You're right. All right.
Wait. But I had one question. So you care about the true cell brethren, okay? If you care about the true cell brethren, many of whom are people of color, isn't it a little bit weird to also believe in like
I could go in deep with this, but I don't think you're really ready for the type of I don't think you're really ready for the type of information that I have to give you. You're kind of like stuck on like the like the partisan stuff right now.
Whoa! Please, come on. Do you really think you have a bombshell political opinion that I'm not even capable of dealing with?
Honestly, most people aren't. They're kind of stuck on like the communist stuff and the fascist stuff. Really, what I'm about to write a book on is like that. Like, if you even go beyond that, it's really big shit. So,
but I study philosophy too. I have a pretty good understanding of like the past 300 or 400 years of philosophical. So I understand like anti-modernist trends, if that's where you're going, or like neo-traditionalism. I feel like I'm ready. I just want you to hit me with it, okay? Like, can you give me like the hook, like the opening sentence? We don't even have to argue about it, okay? Blow me away. I'm ready to evolve, okay?
I dab out like after I'm done with it.
You can dab out. Okay, I'm not going to say a fucking word.
Oh, and fucking, this isn't going to be at the beginning of a movie or anything, So much you have two sects. Have the fascists, and then you have the lefties who want to make sure that everybody gets their fair share, yada yada, whatever. Fascists are evil, lefties are good. What if you could live in a world where you understand that there's both, and you accept it anyway? So that means that you accept that black people and like all of the horrible things you hear about people's race, you hear it and it's true. You can't hide from it anymore. True, but instead of hating people, just understand that like, we're all we got. Okay? I'm still gonna love all sorts of different people because, I'm from California too, and I fucking, I know people are regular. They're not fucking like aliens or monsters or orcs, but these things may be true, and if they are, you can't backtrack and be like, all right, well, let's go full, this or that, or you can't just like hide from it. So that's my bombshell, and with that, I hope you keep fighting the fight of whatever you do.
I will promote your book when it's published. Okay.
Good.
All
I'll
right.
DM you.
Godspeed, right, comrade.
Bye.
I'd buy that book. Fuck yeah. All right. Pro-communist. Pro-communist.
Yeah, sorry. Can we finish the conversation, please?
Wait.
Hello?
Wait, are you the person who muted yourself and then I kicked you?
Yeah.
And you created an entire new Discord account.
Yes.
I respect that. Okay. You know what? Circle jerks exhaust me, but
I'm not going to LARP here. I'm not going to be perfidious. I'm going to be totally honest.
Okay. How about can we focus in on like a topic? Is there like an ethical or policy position, or do you like want to call me a cuck or?
Yes.
Yes to all of it. All right, I'm ready.
So you called yourself a real utilitarian, and you want to maximize happiness for the group collectively.
For the greatest number of sentient creatures, yeah.
Sentient, right? So, if you wanted to do that unilaterally on a large scale, and it's proof that multiculturalism makes people unhappy, atomized, and less productive as a society, why would you want to wreck that?
So, okay, first of all, let's define our terms. What would you describe as multiculturalism?
Multiple different cultures try to coexist in one, whilst they try to maintain hierarchy and leverage in the political sphere.
Okay, right. We had that with the 13 colonies in the United States of America. There were massively disparate cultures between the 13 colony states, to the extent that the Articles of Confederation were necessary to get them all together to unify as a nation and form a constitution. So I would argue that we have multiculturalism in many respects, and always have in every civilization that has ever existed. What you're talking about is multiracial.
Are you talking about the white settlers from multiple different European countries settling into America?
No, I'm talking even before that. Even when it was just Anglo-Saxons here in America, just English people, there were still massive cultural differences.
The Irish and German.
I don't think there were Irish or German for the original 13 colony states. I mean, not like they came in later, but I think that originally
my historical knowledge of the colonization, or the mass murder, as you call it, when you have to acknowledge there were Indian tribes mass genocide in other Indian tribes. You agree, right?
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about multiculturalism, and I'm telling you that multiculturalism has existed in many forms in basically every civilization that has ever existed. The differences between different cities, between cities and rural areas, there are always massive cultural differences. I think what you're referring to is multiracialism. That is to say, different races or ethnicities of people.
No, both. Co-equally both. What's the word? Co-equally, multiracial and multiculturalism are both hazardous problems.
Okay, well, I would say that multiculturalism brings problems, but it seems to be an inevitable consequence of people unifying beyond like the city level. So yeah, I'm cool with dealing with that. Just seems like
you're an anarchist. You're against hierarchies and hierarchical structures.
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize that you are supporting legislation that creates disharmony and hierarchical structures, such as people from the Middle East wanting to build more mosques?
So let me clarify. You think that by supporting people immigrating and integrating in a multicultural society, I'm supporting hierarchical structures, and the way to not support hierarchical structures would be to keep brown people from coming into the country.
Cultural identity.
Dismantle all cultural identities? Wait. I like culture. Whoa. Calm down there, buddy. I like different cultures.
But it wouldn't... Can you, conjoin what I'm saying here? I'm saying that if you bring people in from the Middle East who want to legislate for more mosques, what they want to do is to build more mosques so their, religious ideology becomes dominant in the social political sphere of America.
Yeah, Christians want to do the same thing. We have centuries of Christians sending missionaries to every corner of the world to try and proselytize and convert. What's your point?
I'm actually confused. What proselytization? I've heard that word used multiple times. Can you tell me the definition of that word, please?
Proselytize, to speak enthusiastically about a moral, or to convince one of an ethical or religious or moral position, to soapbox essentially, but it has a very moralistic connotation.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, all
religions,
cultures...
all religions preach moral objectivism, their god or their deity is morally unifying in the people.
Yeah,
That's why,
I mean, I'm
like,
very
people from the Middle East-
anti-theist in this respect. Yes.
Okay. But you're anti-capitalist, but you're supporting mass migration, and the big capitalists, the big industrialists want people. You have to acknowledge that, like, the Mexicans don't have the same productive input as white people do.
I don't recognize. Wait, hold on. What?
Can I have a bean can?
Bean can? Yeah, sure.
Do you want burritos?
No.
Oh.
Oh, wait, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Wait, I thought you wanted rice.
Wait, yeah, sure. You just said rice, not burritos. Yeah, no, I don't recognize that. Not even, like, slightly. Also,
Okay, for
you seem to
instance-
be jumping around a lot. You said
How?
that
I'm not being
I'm
antagonistic.
a
being
hypocrite.
antagonistic.
You said I'm a hypocrite because I oppose capitalism, but I like immigration or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so you realize opposing capitalism doesn't mean that I have to disagree with all capitalists and everything that they do and support, right?
No. That is socialism. Are you a communist or a socialist?
I'm an anarchist.
But isn't communist like the theoretical final stage of socialism to transition to communism is by definition anarchistic?
Not necessarily.
Stateless, mindless society.
Generally speaking, communism and anarchism are described as potential end goals of a socialist state or a socialist world, I suppose. But it's heavily contentious theory.
Wait. No, socialism entails a state.
Yes,
the dictatorship of the proletariat.
No, not the dictatorship of the proletariat. And not even a state necessarily. You can have stateless socialism, but generally, a socialist society could be a state. What? Do you know? Wait, define socialism.
The collective ownership that means production and distribution of goods.
Yeah, that doesn't necessitate the existence or non-existence of a state.
Are you talking about but there's something called anarcho-fascism, but that's like LARPing. How can you have fascism is like totalitarian corporatism. So how can you have
I would argue the
anarcho-fascism?
term anarcho-fascism is antithetical to itself, much in the same way anarcho-capitalism is.
How can you have stateless socialism?
How can't you? There's nothing contradictory in the definitions.
But then that would just be communism.
No,
remove the state.
Because communism is a stateless, classless society. You could conceivably have a society which is stateless, but still has
class. Can you describe
class.
me the definition of classes? Because some people describe like social economical statuses, like how much people make income wise, is a class. To me, I thought classes was the bourgeoisie was just the owner class, and a proletariat could be rich or poor.
Yeah, in a lefty sense, class generally refers to the relationship one has to the means of production. In a very paleo-Marxian sense, this is just the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. But since then, there have been a bunch of theories that have expanded. You good? You good? You just dropped a bunch of shit.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. But since then, we've expanded upon that and developed a new, more holistic understanding of how class operates in a service economy. You've got, lumpen proletariat, you've got the petite bourgeoisie. These were both recognized by Marx, but I think they've become more relevant since then. Now that the economy is streamlined.
Something Lenin proposed, you wouldn't just go full on socialism. You would have re-collectivization, but you have a little bit of capitalism until you could wither away with capitalism, then go to socialism, then communism.
I mean, it totally depends. I mean, if you want to imagine how I envision my ideal society coming about, it would probably be collaboration between a landed elite of politicians who support a socialist state, are full-on socialists, not Bernie Sanders or AOC, but actual socialists. And when a time comes when
okay, you can continue.
When capitalism eventually grinds against its own antagonisms and there's a massive economic crisis, there's a seizure of power, reinforced by street revolution, and after that happens, the private property is seized.
Hang on.
Huh?
You are against reformism, such as social policies to establish socialism. You want bloody revolution.
No,
do you acknowledge that socialism won't come voluntarily? That will have to come via violent revolution.
Yeah, that's not something I concede. I say that frankly. Most massive paradigm shifts in a society come with some level of violence. I believe the same would happen.
So why is classism to you okay, but racism is not?
Because, well, for one, I take issue with the term classism in this respect. Class isn't like race in the respect that all races are equal. In that races are all equal unless denoted otherwise. Class, in a Marxian sense, refers very specifically to an oppressed and an oppressor, and I don't have a problem with the oppressed rising up against their oppressor under any circumstances.
What if there was like a bourgeoisie business owner, and like all of the workers, even if their labor is getting extracted for a disequitable a wage, so that they don't get the maximization of their wage, that their wages are going to the boss owner, but the business still gives the worker a sustainability to sustain himself from their work. Would you say that's not oppression anymore? Because like
it's still definitely oppression. The oppression that takes place under capitalism is a lot more nuanced than just like having enough money to live or getting fair appropriation for your labor. It goes beyond just like wage theft as well.
But you want to kill that person even if they are like they're producing a product for everybody that helps the community collectively.
I never said
kill. And is a good product. Sorry, what?
I never said kill. As a nation, I believe.
But but you're preaching class warfare.
Yeah, but there's no. I never said class warfare. That's a very reductivist term. What I said is that violence may be necessary to secure a socialist state. That's not the same thing as me saying every business owner has to be killed. If a state edict was put out, hey, we are nationalizing the property of private business owners, step down and relinquish your property rights or be dealt with appropriately, even for those who didn't step down, I imagine the vast majority of them would be arrested, or probably not even that, probably just like they'd have their property seized. Only a very small group of people would need to actually have violence enacted against them. These would be the ultimate capitalist elite, the people who could land a counter-revolution if they had the ability to do so.
Right.
Like for instance, the Koch brothers, like the multi-billionaires and the
Koch.
Sorry, I do always fuck that up. Yeah, them and the multi-billionaires and the oil execs. These people have literally gotten the U.S. to invade other countries. They're dangerous.
Isn't the Koch brothers Jewish though?
I don't care. I don't really care if a person's Jewish when I decide whether or not they're harming society.
But do you judge the Jew in a materialistic sense?
What does this mean?
As in, if you're against capitalism, you should ardently and critically criticize Jews instead of always sticking up for them. Every other race besides white people.
What does this have to do with a material analysis of Jewish people? I don't care. We would do what we need to do to secure a socialist state. There are probably some Jews in power.
Have you noticed that Jews have become...
You realize you're not going to get me with this one, right? You're not going to get me with this one. I know all the fucking pull thread arguments. I'm familiar with them. It hasn't affected me.
You don't even know what I'm going to say first.
Well, I have a feeling it's not going to be any smarter than the 90,000 other arguments I've heard in favor of the Jewish question.
Why are you being so rude?
You're right. I'll be more polite. Now, please tell me about how Jews control the world.
I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say, have you noticed that Jews have become... They've transitioned from their position of, the massive influx of disproportionate Jews in the Commissar. In the Bolshevik. Yeah, the Bolsheviks. Well, no.
They were disproportionate in the
Bolshevik Revolution.
They were discriminated against.
And they were in Stalin's
in the
Commissar.
USSR.
They were a disproportionate amount.
You do know the USSR also engaged in discrimination against Jewish people because they thought Jewish people were the ardents of capitalism?
Dude, there's literally There's literally a quote by Joseph Stalin saying that anti-Semitism, public discussion of anti-Semitism, openness of anti-Semitism, is punishable by death, and he made this legislative.
Okay, and that doesn't speak to the holistic policy of the USSR, and certainly not during Lenin's years.
What do you mean by holistic?
Like everything the USSR has done cannot be surmised in a single quote by Joseph Stalin.
Okay.
Well, but it is a bit of historical irony because the Nazis accused the Jews of orchestrating the German financial crisis, but also of being communists, which is weird. And then I know Jews made everything go wrong. And then the USSR accused Jewish people, in many respects, during the earlier parts of the revolution, of being themselves capitalists. So they were kind of fucked from both angles. Hold on one second. What?
Well,
Hold on.
See,
Yeah, sure. You sure are interrupting this highly intellectual.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to make you food while you're talking to a Nazi. I don't give a single fuck about this guy. I'm making you burritos because I'm nice.
All right, where are we at?
Vosh, you do know who funded the Bolshevik Revolution. It was not a revolution.
I know. International
by
Jewish
dialectical
cabal.
materialism.
I
It
know.
was funded by
I know.
Jacob Schiff, a
I
capitalist.
know. Yeah, I know. I've seen it all in the spooky pull threads where they put the pictures up and they tie the little red strings and then they put the Jewish star in the background and you learn that
Can I ask a
everything
question?
bad that ever happened was because of Jewish people.
I'm not saying that. That is a
straw man,
I forget
yes.
what that really fancy Latin word for like somebody.
It's a straw man. I
Reductio.
straw manned you. But why I'm doing it is because it is late and I'm not interested in debating your conspiratorial arguments and how Jewish people
Okay, that's another
exerted
insult.
control over the so on and such forth.
It's another insult.
Wait, how's that an
You're
insult?
very.
Wait, what insult
You're
did I just
very,
issue?
I'm trying to. You're very projective. You assume people have this like antagonistic.
Do you remember how
aggression
you
towards
first
you.
spoke to me?
But you're always antagonistic.
Wait,
towards
do you remember?
everybody else.
Wait, do you remember how you first spoke to me?
Okay, what did I
Okay,
say?
you were a little antagonistic. Can we agree on that? Maybe a smidge. So I think it's reasonable for me to assume
I
you're a
am
bad faith
totally
actor.
cogent, totally cool all the time.
Okay.
I'm a very attractive individual. I am never antagonized by anything other than when people like you legislate for people to be displaced in their own homelands and their own communities.
You probably shouldn't say that because white people being here and then white people and brown people being here isn't displacement. Nobody's being displaced. So it's a weird term you've kind of jumped onto.
Replaced every year, and the SBL, that fucking
Not
Jew,
being
who's got
replaced.
who's got it on his little paper that he's counting down the days until whites become a minority. How's that ethnic replacement?
Sure. I mean, I don't particularly care if one person makes that comment. I'll make that comment. I'm not even Jewish. Yeah, no, honestly, like you're white, right?
I know you're not Jewish.
Well, wait, Rand
You do have
thinks
an
I'm wait, Rand
extremely
thinks I'm
large
Jewish.
cranium, but you're not Jewish.
Thanks, buddy. It's the
Well, you have got a
reasonably
large head. I
it's
mean,
just
no.
the
You
reasonably
have got a large
proportioned
head.
nose saves me from I think the accusation. But with that being said, so the reason I think why the antagonism, you said earlier that I assume you're going to be antagonistic when I am myself antagonistic. The reason why
Yes.
I'm antagonistic is I really think you're subhuman. And when I talk to people like you, it really makes me actually hope that like white people
But hang on.
get
Let me
exterminated.
just do some inference here, right?
Mhm.
You're against the so-called Nazis who went around and
What hypocrisy. The Nazis
legislative-
used an insult, but I also used an insult.
why are you always interrupting
Fascinating.
me? You're talking about a responsive back and forth conversation, but you're now being interrupted.
Wait, what's your point?
I'm telling you here, you're calling people subhuman, yet you're against Nazis
Mm-hmm.
who came up with the term, the social
You-
contract, you said, or
Mhm.
the Hegelian dialectic,
Wait, you think the Nazis came up
Nazis
with the
made up.
Hegelian dialectic?
that Jews were subhuman, other races were subhuman.
Wait. I'm sorry.
Whilst
I
you
think
are
I
being
misheard you.
contradictory
Wait. I
and calling
think.
people subhuman.
Wait. I think for one, the fact that you think that's contradictory reveals your low IQ, and for two, wait.
How?
Do you think that the Nazis invented the Hegelian dialectic?
No, I'm saying they
Okay.
used the Hegelian
Okay.
dialectic.
I'm sorry. I think I misheard you. Okay, because that obviously would have been a very. stupid
Hegels
way.
was a Jew, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I know. Everyone is a Jew. It's very spooky.
No, he was literally Jewish.
Yeah, everyone's a Jew. That's what I just said. Everyone but you, dude.
Oh,
You're the
okay.
only one who hasn't been
Okay,
brought into the
You
fucking
talk about
game
low
yet.
IQs. You think that Ethiopian, other black people have similar IQs to whites, and the only
Wait, I never said that.
variability or factor is social economics. When that is
Yeah, I mean that
actually
seems to be
true.
right
No, no,
now.
okay,
Whoa,
you
hold on.
interrupted again.
Whoa. You just said I interrupted. Yeah, what you just
No, you
said that
didn't interrupt me, 'cause
you
you're not
said
gonna like
that
what I'm gonna say
socioeconomics. Well, no, you can. I know you say it like black people have low IQ and stuff. I know. The fact is that Socioeconomically, that does seem to be the main factor. There's no evidence to support your worldview, that is to say, inherent racial IQ differences, but there are mountains of evidence to indicate that environment and educational attainment.
Why would I admit that Asians have slightly higher IQs
I
than
don't.
whites?
Again, why do you Nazis keep thinking this is a gotcha? Why do you keep thinking like, I can't be racist? Asians have slightly higher IQ. How can I hate Jews when I say Ashkenazi Jews have a slightly higher IQ? I don't know. Maybe it's a little more complicated than that. But I want to get back to your earlier accusation, which was very dumb. So I call you subhuman, and Nazis call people subhuman. So we both call people subhuman. That must mean there's a hypocrisy.
How do you assume that call people subhuman? I don't. Like, you think it's...
No. I said the Nazis, which is what you said. I'm using your words here. Right, yeah, okay. I don't know why you got like triggered there. So in regards to using the word subhuman, why do you think the Nazis... I don't know why...
Social.
Yeah, I don't care. What, are you like gonna cry? What should I stop? Should I go light on you?
Oh yeah. I know. I'm trying to
what you're mad right now is because you're making flagrantly stupid statements, and you know they're stupid, so you don't want me to call you out on them.
I forgot that you are. I forgot that you're the upper echelons of society, the higher IQ individual.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I tried very hard.
No counterfactual evidence of this, and I would actually say demonstrably that you have a lower average IQ than most people.
Yeah, you got me, dude. How'd you dig up my scores?
Because you think black people have similar distributions of IQ.
No, I never said that. I said that socioeconomics accounts for the difference. I don't know why you keep strawmanning me. Are you forgetting the arguments? Or are you triggered and you don't want to address my actual points because you know I'd blow you the fuck out?
That's a lefty anti-intellectual point. There's already been
okay, right. So is all of academia lefty and anti-intellectual, and your facts are like the pull threads where you have the spooky numbers and stuff?
Okay, would you say Charles Murray? Charles Murray is literally a classical liberal, right?
Sure.
And
a Jew.
He conducted studies, and he unfortunately accepts the fact that black people genetically don't have the genetic variability that produces higher average IQs.
Yeah, it's a good thing Charles Murray's work has been massively discredited since it was published.
But it has to be massively discredited.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And I know, because I always know the tangents you're going to go on, because you Nazis, it's pathetic. You cling to these individual researchers who produce results that you feel good about.
You are socially inept.
I think I do all right, actually.
Because I think you are.
Do you want to have a dick measuring contest and how relatively socially successful we are?
No, of course, I'm more socially successful than you. Have you heard my voice?
Yeah, it sounds fine, I guess. I've been told I have a pretty nice voice.
You're kvetching all over the place.
Kvetching? Ooh, where'd you get that from? Are you culturally appropriating? Jewish language?
I guarantee you.
So you jumped right off the point. So you don't. Okay, cool. Wow, you found my stats. So you don't want to have a talk on who's more socially successful?
All right.
You realize you sound mad as fuck, right? Like, you bring up the social success thing, and then I point out, like, I'm literally a streamer.
Now.
I'm literally a streamer who's known for being, like, really slutty, and then you back off and you're like, I've got a nice voice.
But did you say you were slutty? What the fuck are you talking about, mate? Are you schizophrenic?
Would you consider having sex with people to be an indicator of social, success?
No, you can have sex with people and be promiscuous and very socially awkward.
Yeah, okay. I would say there's probably a correlation between being socially confident and having lots of sex.
But I thought you were against correlations because you have this individualistic idea that IQ is a just environmental determinant, and the genetic determinant of IQ is minimalistic, and it's just social.
I don't have a problem with correlation. I have a problem with people who turn correlations into causations, which is such an obvious fallacy. It's kind of embarrassing that people like you keep making it, even though it's a fucking meme. Correlation doesn't equal causation, but you keep doing it because you want to feel so strongly that this is true because it reaffirms your worldview. I'm sorry, bucko. Bring your fucking academic research over to academia and see if they like it, because right now the world disagrees with you.
Why does Sam... Okay, is Sam Harris a fascist? That he agrees that black people have lower average IQs to the genetic variability of...
Hold on. Wait. I didn't hear what you said. So, Sam Harris, go.
Is he a fascist because he agrees that black people have a lower average IQ and there is more a genetic factor towards that contribution of lower average IQ?
No, that doesn't necessarily make you a fascist. It probably makes him a race realist.
So he believes race isn't the social construct, or the racial achievements. Because you're a dialectic materialist, because you're a
no idea
Marxist.
what you're going on about right now.
Can
we never answer the question on subhuman and how I must be a Nazi if I use that
I'll get back to
insult?
that point. Yeah, I was going to get to that point.
Mm-hmm. Oh, are you done? Hello? Hello? You good? Buddy? Yo, hello? Really? Twice? Hello? Is this guy for real?